We've got an awesome couple of hours ahead of us. This is our 8th Safety Symposium. And how this initiative started was, as Pilot Insure, we need to reach as many pilots as possible. That's our job. We really truly believe in the products that we have and the service that we offer the country is in terms of the aviation industry. Our job is to educate and to engage with as many pilots as possible. And the one way that we started doing that was by speaking to flight schools. And we would go to flight schools all over the country at different airports, and we would talk to the chief flying instructor, and we would say, can we come and do a talk at your safety meeting? All flight schools do a bit of a safety meeting, usually about once a month. And the guys are very, very welcoming on that, especially if we sponsor the Boerewors rolls and, give a couple of cool drinks, maybe a Castle Light or two, who knows, let's see how things go. But the theme is safety, so, it's limited in that respect. And it was very well received. And we would bring outside speakers to the flight school because, at any one flight school, you might find that you're listening to the same instructors over and over again, and the message, while the message is very pertinent and very real and very relevant, when it comes from the same person over and over again, the message sometimes just gets a bit diluted. And it's no fault of the person delivering the message. It's just human nature to, like you guys are doing now with my voice. Now, not all of you, just Vaden is like zoning me out because I'm rambling, and he's heard my voice too much. So that kind of thing happens. So the message is diluted. And then when you bring someone else from outside and they give the same amount or the same message, and it's just delivered and received in a different way, and it lands differently. And that often then will be more effective for the pilot, and the safety messages then is actually delivered. And that's what we want. And so that's what we would do with all the different flight schools around the country at different airfields. And then we thought, what? Spending a heck of a lot of time and energy going to different flight schools and each one on its own and all that kind of thing, that we thought, brainwave, why don't we just go to Grand Central Airport, and why don't we tell all the flight schools to join us on one evening and make it a lovely event, and then get some sponsors in and some external speakers and all that kind of stuff. And so that first event happened, I think 2019 it was, and we didn't actually know it, but the Safety Symposiums were born. And that was a nice leap forward for us, and we were able to reach more pilots in a more efficient way. And isn't that what life is about? Becoming better at stuff with less energy. Because there's only so much frickin' energy, eh? And we're going to learn about energy management today as well. Okay. And so we did a couple more of those, and we still went to a few more flight schools, and it worked. And then eventually we did a very, very successful event at Rand Airport, and that was on the 17th of February 2022. So it was still a couple of years later, but in 2022 we labeled it the Safety Success Event for instead of just a safety meeting. And that success element drew a huge amount of students and a huge amount of pilots. And that was really our big sort of leap forward in our way of getting things done very nicely. And since then, we've done a whole bunch more of these. And what we've then found is that the ethos of these events is not just safety, it's success as well. We want to impart how to become a more successful pilot. All right? As a safe pilot, you will execute as a successful pilot, as if you're more safe. But the more successful you are, the safer you actually become. And we've figured out that there's a correlation between those two things. And so the ethos has then been built on not just safety, but success as well, and how those two things relate. All right. And so welcome, everybody, to the first Safety Symposium of 2026 here at Aero, South Africa. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Please clap for two because, there's spaces in between you. So let's try again, but clap for two of you. Let's go. I would like to start off by saying thank you very much to all of you for attending. And I would also like to say thank you very much to my sponsors today. We have an amazing amount of support, and not just financial, but really like joining the community and the safety movement is something real, that every single one of these sponsors that you see here today and the ones that I'm going to mention, we need to really honor them. And it's not just a financial contribution. I'm trying to think of another word for it, but it's where you buy in and join a community, and that's what we're doing here today. Okay, so please, a big round of applause for all of my sponsors as you see them today. There's going to be more. Round of applause, please. All right. That's them. Link Avia is an amazing company. Woo! Big led by an absolute champion of the industry, Captain Baher Al-Damasi, who we are going to be hearing from in a few minutes. He's our second speaker. We first got our amazing Rian van Tondo, who I'm going to announce shortly. But Link Avia has sponsored the I'm Safe Link Avia activation. And you'll see that we have got the safe key. Where is that? I need my main presentation. If you could just switch to that other main presentation over there. But the safe key to safety is unlocked when you go look at that mirror over there, or against that pillar over there. And the idea there is to unlock the safe key by looking into the mirror and taking a photo and sharing that on social media. Please do that. That's the engagement aspect of it. And I think you'll notice, and I think I've given it away, but the safe key is you. The safe key to safety is you. So thank you very much, Link Avia, for sponsoring that activation and generating that amount of interest and engagement around safety. Big round of applause for Link Avia, everybody. Something wrong with my screen over here. Fixed. There we go. All right. So again, welcome and thank you very much for joining us. Good to have you, everybody. Lovely. We are going to be kicking off. So you'll find the safe key at the safety mirror over there, and it will be revealed to you. Please give some of us a follow. There is the hashtag that we're using today for today's event. So when you post, please post with that hashtag. Looks like a long one, but it's quite simple. It's just obviously hashtag Lanceria SS, and then it's obviously an underscore, so ignore that top one, the bottom one. It's an underscore Aero 2026. So that's the official hashtag of today's event. Please go ahead and when you post all the beautiful pictures of yours truly onto social media, because that's obviously why I do this, and then just use that hashtag, please. Okay, and there are some follow QR codes as well. They'll be going around, and you can get that from there. Today's event, we will be hearing from Captain Rian van Tondo. Captain Rian van Tondo is an ex-SA Air Force. They call him Vlamgatte. I don't know if that's derogatory, but what it means is, and it's not because he had lots of chili the night before, it's because those pilots really strap on an aeroplane. They put an aeroplane onto their back, and they pretty much have thousands of pounds of thrust and horsepower right behind them. And Rian was one of those people. He was a South African fighter jet pilot, and since then graduated or moved towards becoming a Smirnoff Eagles at the time. No? Smirnoff Eagles, lately more better known as the Goodyear Eagles aerobatics team. So some amazing aerobatics flown in air shows all over the country by our captain Rian van Tonder, and since then has actually become actually retired already as a training captain on the Boeing 777 at Emirates. So the kind of wealth of information that you're going to get from Rian today, I'm jealous. I'm envious of you. Okay. Our next speaker will be Captain Baher Eldamasi of Link Avia, and he is have I got that in the right order? Yes, I do. Captain Baher Eldamasi of Link Avia. He will be imparting the success elements of being a good pilot today. So he will be talking about becoming a successful individual in terms of the business relationships that you have and the way that you conduct yourself in the industry and how that relates to moving you forward and moving you onto bigger, better things in terms of bigger aeroplanes, all those things that pilots aspire to. So Captain Baher Eldamasi will be our second speaker. And then we will be breaking for our official Leonardo Helicopters Pizza Pasta Buffet. So everybody here that's registered, you know what, even if you haven't registered, we're going to be doing a pizza pasta buffet here today, and everyone here is welcome for that. And I'd like to thank Leonardo Helicopters for that. Please, round of applause for Leonardo. While we're on free food, we know that I'd like to just indicate that coffee is complimentary while this event is going on, as well as the water and everything in front of you. And then there's cold drinks as well over there. No free booze because this is a safety symposium, Captain Carl. Thank you. Oh. And then our third keynote will be done by Captain Obet Mazini of Cathay Pacific fame. If you didn't know he flew for Cathay Pacific, you should, because he's got a massive following on YouTube and all the social media, and just the way that he delivers his content is absolutely amazing. And I tracked him down, I stalked him, I sent him threatening messages to get him here, and he is our international guest today, and we really look forward to hearing from you, Captain. So thank you very much for being here today. Big round of applause for all of my speakers, everybody. And then you will be hearing from me as your final keynote, David LaRue, and I'm going to be talking about happiness, wealth, health, and safety, and how they all align. All right. And then depending on the time, we will have a panel discussion after that, and then a nice little prize draw with some very neat giveaways from some of our sponsors. That will be today's program. Any questions? Please save your questions for later. Especially you, Cole. Lovely. My first speaker today is Captain Rian van Tonder. Like I said, we are proud to announce Captain Rian van Tonder as our first keynote speaker. With a pedigree forged in high-G military tactical environments and precision aerobatics, Rian recently retired as a Boeing 777 captain for Emirates. Today, he will be talking about when stuff goes wrong on the flight deck. Everybody, Rian van Tonder.
Yeah, we're going back. Thank you. Okay. So now you know who I am. So let's do the introductions. Who's sitting here? Link Avia, Captain Obeid. There we go. Salam alaikum, welcome, marhaba. There we go. Who's sitting over there? I can't hear. ARCC, very nice. Any students in the back? Yes, we're all students of aviation. Welcome. Okay, so I was asked by David to present something in a little bit of a more light-hearted format, but very serious in their safety implications. So what I chose is I will presenting on breakfast today. Breakfast, okay? That's the most important meal of the day. So the reason for breakfast, if you look at breakfast, all the things that I like to eat cut fruit, omelets, tea, coffee, some fresh juice and things like that, but I wanted everything at the same time. So when I start making breakfast, I need to make sure that I do one thing so that it finishes when the other thing is also finishing at the same time. But, you know, toasting my bread and making my omelet takes different amounts of time. So I want to make sure that they finish at the same time. So any indication of what does that mean in the aviation terminology, in the aviation lexicon? Workload management. We all do workload management every day, and we're going to talk a little bit about the CRM aspect of workload management and how it's used in a daily environment. So I'll be engaging with the students at the back. There will be questions, so please help us out, attention, and answer all the questions correctly that I gave you before, okay? Just as I gave you before. So, workload management, anybody wanna go for a definition? What's the definition of workload management? Sneak preview. Yes, Dave?
Of available resources efficiently to prioritize and perform tasks in a timely manner under all circumstances. That would be my best guess.
Close enough. We'll take it. we will take it. So everybody knows the pyramid of core aviation competencies, the decision-making at the top, knowledge at the bottom. And if you look sort of right in the middle, you'll see workload management as well. So if you look at what we call the resilient competencies, decision-making, situation awareness, leadership, communication, and on the right-hand side is reliability. Anybody knows what those are? Let's say, K obviously will be knowledge. P, any hassles? Any guesses for P? Procedural, yeah. H, handling, sounds good. All right. And then automation is the last one. Okay, so we're going to have a look at, if they are in balance, then you get what David referred to as a more successful pilot. You become more efficient, you become more successful, and the result is safety. The problem is, if you look at recent events that might have happened that you might have noticed, if you get the aero news and so on, there's been incidences where the workload management broke down and the resilient and the reliable competencies are at risk. So we're going to talk about those a little bit today. So if we look at points then, so on the flight deck, Captain Carl and Captain Obey know this very well, is you get lots of distractions. So how do you handle these distractions? What do you prioritize? Or what do you do when something happens? First thing, startle effect. You know something is wrong, but you just don't know what it is, as an example. Startle effect, anybody knows what startle effect is? Bah! Exactly like that. Exactly. That's exactly what startle effects. You know something's wrong, something has happened, but I don't know what has happened. So then the idea is we have to go through a risk management model in order to find out what happened when you got stopped. So, and that takes a little bit of time. So there's lots of risk management models that various airlines are using. M8 is the one from Boeing as an example. I noticed something went wrong. I don't know what it is. Okay. So now I just got to maintain control of the situation. Sit on the stool, just relax, everything is okay. So in aviation terms, that's called maintain control of the airplane. All right? The A is assess the situation. See what's going on? It's not that bad. It's just a guy that shouted at me. Never mind. All right. and then take the appropriate action and evaluate the situation. Other airlines use aviate, navigate, communicate. It says action, manage, and then it goes into decision-making model from there. Decision-making model is I take care of the airplane and then I decide what I want to do. Do I continue with my flight? Do I divert? Do I return to where I come from? So when you go into a decision-making model, the thing that you have to do is to identify tasks. What do I need to do? And what resource do I have in order to help me? Because I cannot do everything myself. Captain Carl taught me that when I was flying at SAA many moons ago. So I still remember what you told me, Captain Carl. Thank you very much. Then we need to match up the resources that I have versus the tasks that I need to do. As an example, when I cooked my breakfast this morning, I want to make an omelette. What do I need to make an omelette? I need to chop things. I need to get the eggs and so on. What do I have to cook? I have the stove. I have the pan. Those are my resources in order to get the omelette and the coffee and the juice and everything delivered at the same time. So then I look at verify the outcome and the time frame. My breakfast needs to be done because I have to be here at 9, they told me. So I had to eat quickly. And like Captain Carl, I ran a little bit of shorter time, so I need to speed up on certain things in order to get you on time. So there's always a time frame. In aviation, the time frame is normally dictated by what? What dictates my time in aviation? Captain Carl, you're not allowed to answer. So what dictates my time? Any students? What's the first thing that you check when you get to the airplane? Fuel. How much fuel do I have? So how much fuel do I have relates to how much fuel burn do I have, relates to how much time I have to take care of the situation. So let's look at a real-world environmental scenario. So we got a number of tasks. Let's say pre-flight. We have some dangerous goods on board. We've got a passenger issue. Maybe the passenger is sick or was sick and traveling back from surgery or something. We've got a technical issue. I'll ask Adrian that question later about the technical issue. So then we got to prepare the cockpit for flight, and we notice that there's inclement weather and there might be wind shear. And then we still got to do the exterior inspection to make sure the airplane is okay, which is called the walk around. So the hint here is those are the tasks that I had to perform. How do I prioritize it? This is not a made-up example. This is an example that actually happened to me. This example actually happened to me. So I got to the airplane and I had all these things to deal with. But I, as a passenger, everybody travels as a passenger, you want to leave on time. So I have a time constraint, as what was previously mentioned in the slides. So I have a time constraint. So if I do that myself, it'll take forever. And you're going to be late, and you're going to miss your meeting in Cape Town, and you're going to be angry with me because I'm the captain. I'm supposed to get you there on time safely. All right. So that was the hint. So we got all resources. So what resources do we have in cooking my breakfast? Stove, pans, mixers, stuff like that. On the flight deck, I've got resources as well. First resource, which is the first resource? Captain is the first resource. Here, he needs to dictate things. Senior first officer, what other resources do I have? Engineers, I have cabin crew. These are all my pots and pans and mixtures that I have available to me. Dispatchers and also the company can help me with regards to that. All right, so here's a task, the hint then. There's the resources, and I have to apply those resources in a timely manner, as what David so aptly mentioned in his very good description of the definition. Okay, so just as I applied my pots and pans and my mixtures and the stove today, I now have to do that in a real world scenario when I'm flying. almost on a daily basis. So there's a list of all the tasks I have to do. There's a list of the resources, and I especially jumbled them up so that they are not in sequence. So now we have to work it out. Am I going to use the pan first? Am I going to switch on the stove first? Am I going to use the mixture first? Am I going to cut my fruit first? So tasks versus resources, we got to match them up. So I have a quick moment. We're looking to apply the tasks, the resources, prioritize the resources in a timely manner. Okay, that's the application. All right, so here we go. This is the test time. There will be questions and there will be marks allocated. We'll come back on the screen, and those that get it right gets a handout, I hope. Okay. All right, so we have windshield preparation that needs to be done. We've got a passenger issue, we've got dangerous goods, we got a technical issue, and we need to do a walk around, as I'm doing, always walking around. All right, so of all the resources that we have, can we guess which of the resources that is going to deal with the wind shear pre-flight preparation? Any questions? So we have captain, we have co-pilot, we have cabin crew, we have engineers, we have company. Any guesses? If I do the wind shear preparation, then I cannot do the walk around. I can only do one. So it can't be the captain. Co-pilot, that's the answer. The first officer. Mr. Senior First Officer, please prepare the aeroplane and the processes and procedures for a wind shear departure. Okay. Right. May I dig into this bag? And the first thing I get out, congratulations. Well done. All right. There are bigger prizes in that bag. That's just the starters. What can I see here? Oh, jewelry. Jeez. Watches. Wow. Okay. Right. So the next thing is passenger issue. Who can guess who's going to deal with the passenger issue? Yes. Cabin crew. Come and fetch your prize. Well done. What's your name? Cole? Cole. Cole. Thanks, Cole. All right. So, cabin crew. Next thing, dangerous goods. Let co-pilot, yeah, but we already, the senior first officer is already dealing with the wind shear. He cannot deal with the dangerous goods. Can only have one. Thank you very much. Dispatcher. And that lady gets a prize. And it's a pink one. Thank you very much. All right, the dispatcher. All right, so what we got left? We got technical issue. MEL is abbreviation for minimum equipment list. So somebody's got to look at the minimum equipment list and see if we need it and if we can depart without that technical issue. Engineers, well done. Please come forward and get your prize. Well done. Are you a student? Which flight school are you? Okay, well done. Congratulations, huh? Well done. Thank you for the prizes. All right, we got one left. Who's going to do the walk around? Of course, the captain's going to do the walk around. All right. So, absolutely. If the weather is inclement, exactly. And the captain does the wind shear departure preparation. You taught me well, Captain Carl. All right, so there we go.
Rian, is there a prize for the person who guessed captain?
Who guessed captain? Was it on this table?
Yeah. You? Please grab your
Okay.
prize.
Oh, this is a nice one. So I give this reluctantly because it's got aeroplanes on it. All right. Well done. Okay. So now we had all the tasks that we had to do, the breakfast, cooking the breakfast. I have all the resources and I've allocated correctly all my resources. And if I allocate my resources correctly, I can get my breakfast in time to make it here and be on stage to present in. So the same thing in aviation. We have all the resources, but we have to use them in a correct and timely manner to match up my resources. That makes us, as Dave said, more effective, successful, and what's the last word? Safe pilot. That's why we're here. So the whole idea is to keep your flight deck in balance. You have all the resilient core competencies versus the reliable competencies, and if we balance them, we become more safe. And we can actually go to the mirror and look ourselves in the mirror and say, we are safe. I am safe. Questions by the board. More prizes. If you come up with a question, you get a prize.
I've got a roaming mic, so any questions for Captain Rian van Tonda?
Captain, what about your physical state before you start?
Very interesting question. So, you are arriving at the aeroplane. Are you always at 100% cognitive ability when you arrive at, or when you get up in the morning? Are you get to the airport, are you at 100% cognitive ability? I say no. Anybody want to guess what the human factors people say? So the human factors people, depending on which literature that you read, says you become ineffective as a manager, because this is a management task, workload management, you become ineffective as a manager around 20% of your cognitive ability. We never want to get there. So we add T buffer on top. So let's say 30%. Okay? So I never want to go less than 30% of my cognitive ability. And as the students have realized, sometimes you fly and the airplane is ahead of you. You're just like trying to catch up with the airplane that's just running away. Not so? Happened to me when I was a student. Well, actually, I'm still a student of aviation. So we never want to go less than 30%. Okay. Now, when we arrive at the airport, give me a number, throw a number at me, and win a prize. Are we ever 100%? Correct answer. So throw a number at me. When I arrive at the airport, what am I at? 80%. I like that number. You know why that lady is correct? Please come and get your prize. Oh, it is a mystery prize. Tick tock, tick tock. Samantha, are you at a flight school? Okay, where are you? Would you affiliate it? University of Pretoria. There we go, future manager. Thank you very much. Okay, so when I arrive at the aircraft, I'm never at 100%. Why? I missed my breakfast. I slept unwell. The dog is sick, it bit the cat. Those type of things. All sort of human factors issues come into play. So I arrive at 80%. I think what Captain Carl is getting at is if you arrive at 80%, you're doing well. Actually, that's on a good day. Because last night, I worked until 1 o'clock in the morning. I got home at 2, and I got up at 6 to be here at 9. So I'm not at 100%. I'm not even at 80%. I'm running at 70%. So, but let's say it's a best day. The best day was 80%, and I never want to go below what? 30, which leaves me a reserve of cognitive ability of how much? 50%. I only have 50% on the day. So if I only have 50% on the best day, and I do all of these tasks myself, when I do a task, then I degrade my cognitive ability because I'm using that 50% that I have. Okay. So now, okay, let me ask you this. There are only two tasks that you can do on a flight deck. Only two types of tasks. Those are tasks, yeah, but two types of tasks. So I'll give you the first one. Physical. Second one. Mental tasks. So either I'm thinking of something or I'm actually doing something, like preparing for wind shear, as this gentleman Charles just had told us. So if I'm going to prepare the wind shear preparation, deal with the passenger issue myself, and I've got to look up the books, can we take this passenger or not, dangerous goods, I've got to dig into the dangerous goods manual, find where the dangerous goods, how much can I take? What am I doing with my cognitive ability reserve? Eating into it. So eventually, if I do not manage my workload appropriately, I run out of cognitive ability before I land. Dangerous. I never want to go less than that 30% that the human factors people say. So I want to match resources with tasks. Captain Carl, you tested me with that one. Any questions on that? Dave?
Hello, sir. I had a question that you said for every task you need resources. What if you don't have resources available?
You always have resources. I tell you why. You never run without resources. The first resource that you have is your training. That's the first resource that you have. We cannot train you for all eventuality, but we can train you a process and a procedure for certain eventualities that in most cases this will cover it. And 99.99999% of cases will cover it. And if you go to the beginning of my presentation, we talked about risk management models. Now, risk management models is exactly that. It tells you how to manage that situation. It is the same model that you use for any situation. So aviate, navigate, communicate. First thing goes wrong, I just fly the airplane, aviate. So in modern terms, what does that mean? What does aviate mean? When have I finished aviating? All right? Exactly. And at that moment in time, I just want to see blue up, brown down. Whew, that's a good start. I want to read flight mode enunciation. When I engage the autopilot. Now, I've got my aeroplane stable, moving through the sky, but I don't know where I'm going to. The next abbreviation is N. What's N stand for? Navigate, there we go. Navigate. Am I going to fly into a mountain? Is there weather in front of me? So now I turn the heading knob, or I go direct to a certain waypoint, execute LNAV. Okay, now I'm going to that point. I'm safe into a hole, perhaps, as an example. Right, so airplane is taken care of. I've aviated, I navigated. I'm not going to fly into a dangerous area or so. I want to be in a safe area above my minimum safe altitude or going into a hole. Next one. C, communicate. I'll communicate crosswise with the two pilots. If you don't have if you're a student and there's not instructor sitting next to you, communicate with whom? ATC. What's ATC mean? Ladies, do you know what ATC is? ATC. Who knows what ATC is? Air traffic control. You tell air traffic control, listen, I have this issue. Doesn't matter, whatever. All right. Yes.
Thank you so much. Beautiful talk. I just want to ask something which probably might be out of
No problem.
the topic. How do you deal with career change? I'm doing something different. Currently, I'm a student pilot, with a certain school. How do you deal with such transition, and how do you deal with difficult instructors? Because currently I'm finding myself in a situation where I've been, in a career where I've been very successful, but now I'm pursuing aviation. But now I'm having to deal with, certain, certain people that probably I might have difficulties with. So how do you deal with difficult instructors, and how do you deal with the change in career? Thanks.
Okay, there's a number of parts to that question. The first is, I've done something before, now I'm changing into aviation career path. The first thing that you need to do is throw cash at it. Lots of cash.
Aha. Right. Enthusiasm will get you through that. And enthusiasm, you're talking about your mental preparedness. That will also depend on your enthusiasm. If you're going there and find this whole bloody business is a pain, don't do it. Go do something else.
Very, very good comment from Captain Carl. So I want to just add on to that is, first thing that you do is remember the instructors are there for you. They are supposed to adapt to your style that you can actually absorb information. Now, in certain cases, you can just throw information at an individual and he's like a sponge. He just sucks it up. Other times, one step at a time. Depending on your personality and your capability at that time, first thing that you have to do, enthusiasm. Second thing you have to do is knowledge. Knowledge is on the bottom of that pyramid that I showed before. I don't know if you were here. It's the baseline. You first have to have knowledge. Now, the question is, people ask me, well, how much knowledge must I have in order to progress? My answer is, you must know the books better than the people asking the questions. So you must be extremely well prepared. So when the instructor says, okay, we're going to do session 6 today, and it's going to be steep turns as an example. All right? Tell me what you know about steep turns. Then you have to be like this. Listen to that. It's just rhythmic. Just like that. All right? If human factors, if you look at incidences and accidents in aviation, human factors is the most prolific item that comes to the fore with regards to incidences and accidents. There's times that personalities don't match. By all means, speak to your instructor openly and honestly about it. This is the way that I receive information most optimally, and it will then, or should, adapt to you. If that's not the case, feel free to ask for an instructor change. Okay? And if that's not worth it, just pay him more cash. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. That's okay, I'll repeat the question.
No way.
From in your experience, should there be a cutoff score on intellectual ability for becoming a pilot?
Okay, that's a very good question with regards to human factors. The question was, should there be a cutoff with regards to intellectual capability? That's the question, yeah? Okay. First of all, if you look at what Captain Carl says, I was never very bright at school, to be honest. I didn't study nothing. I got passed in school on my mom's prayers. Okay. But I flew fighters. I came first on my fighter pilot's course. I did well. Why? What Captain Carl says. I was enthusiastic. I just read all the books. And when I finished reading that book, it's the next one, or I start again. Hence, my suggestion is know the books better than the people asking the questions. Okay. So, in a short answer of that, it is a deep question that actually can take me a whole presentation to give. But the short answer is, can you be successful as a pilot with maybe not being blessed like stuff? I'm living proof. I'm living proof. Yes, you can do it. It might take more enthusiastic, preparedness. It might take more effort from your side in order to achieve what you want to achieve. There's a military saying, is do you take the best student or do you take the student with the best heart? In military terms, even if the guy is strong as an ox and he doesn't care about the outcome, they'll discard him. They'll take the person that's struggling because they can develop the person that's struggling. What they want is enthusiasm, heart, commitment to the cause. That question goes deeper. Is there a situation where cognitive ability is extremely low, it's difficult to grasp concepts? Yes. Then it is going to be quite difficult. You will find that airlines, flight schools, and these things, they actually do an entry test, because you cannot progress through the normal rate if you don't meet certain entry criteria. Hence that. It doesn't mean you can't make it. It means you cannot progress normally through the prescribed syllabus. Okay.
And I'll add on to that. Your inability to progress at certain stages doesn't mean you're not, or you're less intelligent. It doesn't mean that you don't have the ability. The airlines just stipulate that we would like to take somebody that can complete this particular course in 2 attempts. And if you come in and you can achieve it in 4 attempts, that's not what the airline's saying. So they're not saying you can't make it. You can make it, but it'll cost too much to keep you if you have to do it in 4 attempts. The people they want are people that can do it in 2 attempts. And again, more experienced pilots or more experienced people in whatever profession doesn't mean they're more intelligent than somebody at entry point. They just have more experience. They're not more intelligent. So experience is not a measure of intelligence. You know what I mean? There you go.
Yeah, just to add on to that, very, very valid point, because if you look at the training environment, doesn't matter if you're doing a PPL, CPL, ATP, these are all terms that we use to impress people. Okay. So as you progress through your pilot training, you need to budget for it. The syllabus says so many hours, you can budget for it. As Captain Obey said, it doesn't mean you can't make it. Okay, there was a question, just the gentleman with the white hat.
We're going to go over probably 1:15, 1:30.
Okay. Just over there, Dave,
Question?
gentleman with the white hat. Thank you, Captain Obed, for that.
Good day, everyone. Just a correction, I'm a female, but I do understand. All right. I know this is a critical one when it comes to having to talk about it in aviation. How do you guys deal with mental health? Let's say that maybe you are going through a lot before your flight, 30 minutes before you receive bad news, maybe your rat died, passed on, or your wife or someone, a relative. And after all, we are all humans and we are not robots. We have feelings, emotions, and everything. How do you guys deal with that? And also, it's a thing of like, let's say that after like a year, you are stable, and then you make a mistake. Maybe you crash and then you survive, or you do something wrong. When the authority check your background, is there a high possibility of losing your license in terms of that? Thank you very much.
Okay, so the question with regards to mental health and capability with regards to that. The short answer is, we're all humans, things happen all the time. The answer is, just say no, I'm not flying today. That is very difficult when there are commercial pressures. Maybe you're working for a private business. They need to get to a meeting. And you have to make that call, because it's not only your safety, but also their safety that's in question. So the first answer is very short. Just say no, I'm not flying today. The second thing is there are many support systems within the aviation environment where you can actually go to and say, this is what happened, health and mental care for pilots. There are many of them that you can go to. The idea is to don't suffer alone. Go and get help through one of these agencies, and they will guide you through the process of how to resolve your issues, depending on what the situation is. Okay. And the next thing is, don't fly until you're ready. Werner, you had something to say.
Hi, Rian. Yes, last question, and I'm sure some of you that still have more questions, they can speak to you after your talk. Getting back to the topic on discussion, and it's probably in regards to risk management and dividing up all of the tasks in the flight deck. What happens, for example, when both pilots eat the same meal? You both order the chicken, and both of you get ill. What happens on the flight deck, and how do you solve that situation when you're slightly incapacitated?
Okay. Dave, you want to add on that?
To answer that question, what they normally do is just ask into the passenger things, who's got the most experience on Microsoft Flight Sim? The person who puts their hand up, that they choose them to land their airplane. Isn't that right?
And they win the prize. Okay, so that's a very valid question. First thing that you do is, it is policy not to eat the same meal. Number one. All airlines is, if you have the chicken, I'm stuck with the beef. Too bad for me, even if I like chicken. All right? Yes, Captain Cole. I can't hear you. Maybe it's... okay, you can tell me. Is it working?
Right. Your mental state is so important, and we tend to overlook this and think that if you're gonna confess that you have a mental issue, stress issue, as it was mentioned over there. They didn't talk about traffic jams or taxis even. When something traumatic has happened to you, there's a crowd, the most incredible resource, and it's free. It's called Mayday SA.
There we go.
And they are on the site.
They are very good.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, so Mayday SA, I didn't want to mention the name, but Mayday SA is a good one to go to. There are many more. I'll get to your question just in a minute, Vanna. So go to them. They are very good. As Captain Cole said, they're completely free, guide you through the whole process, and take you step by step. Don't fly until you're ready, and then wait another week. Then you fly. Okay. Just to take of Werner's question is, it's chicken. That's what you have. You don't eat the same meal, don't drink the same drinks, those type of things. That's company policies in most companies. When you're flying single pilot operation, eat your meals at least 1 hour before you're going to fly. All right? Don't just, like most people, running late, go to the kiosk. All right, just give me that greasy hamburger quickly, wolf that down and go and fly. You need at least 30 minutes you've eaten, just to make sure about exactly that. Okay. So I want to end up and just to say, if you've got any questions, I will be here. You can ask me about anything. Later on, feel free to come and talk to me. I'll leave you with this tale. Well, not actually a tale, it's true. So I was in the operational area, coming back to your mental health issue, and I was giving instruction to 2 other airplanes, and something went wrong with my engine. Now, we are flying at 50 feet, which is the height of this hangar, at 300 knots, 600 kilometers an hour, more or less. And something went wrong with my engine. I had to eject, and very traumatic experience. So I can stretch this talk out for another hour at least on that topic. But so what happened? I ejected. I had some medical issues. Got CASEVAC. CASEVAC is medical evacuation, casualty evacuation. Got checked by the military doctors at that time. You're good to fly. That all happened within 3 days. So the methodology at the time was get the guy back in the cockpit as soon as possible. There was no counseling. There wasn't anything of come and see us, come and talk to us, anything like that. It wasn't available at that time. So I got back into the cockpit with a safety pilot, so 2 seats in that fighter jet. And man, was I skittish, eh? So I was really nervous, just because of the experience that I was exposed to. So I still remember saying to the doctor, when he cleared me after 3 days of having an ejection, I said to him, but shouldn't I have some time off, just to recover? I had compression fractures on my back and stuff like that. And because of the shortage of fighter pilots at the time, he cleared me. And I said, what if I have to eject again? And his answer was, I strongly recommend you don't do that. So I went to fly with the instructor behind, and I was really nervous. And the instructor had very good care of human resources. And he said, let's just go and have fun. Let's go and do aerobatics. We fly around, do whatever you want. Just enjoy the flight. So we did that, came back, strapped me in. Immediately I got out of one airplane into a single-seater. Now I've got to be on my own. Into a single-seater fighter. And now I'm going to do the same one. And was that the best feeling in the world? Who gives you a multi-million-dollar airplane and say, go and play? Man, I enjoyed that. But today, we have, as Captain Cole mentioned, we have Mayday and other places to go to. Okay, we've evolved. And that was the idea. Yeah, so that was the idea, as Captain Cole said, the old saying, as he mentioned, if you fall off a horse, get on it immediately. Go back. But I hurt myself the first time. Well, go and hurt yourself a second time. Okay. So any questions, please deal with it. I can deal with it later. I think we need to move on for the next speaker. Dave, thank you very much for the opportunity. And hopefully we'll have another one soon.
My absolute pleasure, Captain Rian. Everybody, Rian van Tonda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. I think we can all agree that was an amazing speech, amazing talk, very engaging. Well done on improvising on the prizes, Captain. Prizes obviously sponsored by our awesome supporting teams from Flying Socks. Keegan has been a massive supporter of us for many years, since the Steady Climb days and every single safety symposium. Keegan and his team from Flying Socks. So everyone who got a pair of Flying Socks, please hold them up. They are the most comfortable socks you will ever wear. So please go to the website flyingsocks.co.za. Absolutely, they're the only socks I wear. Please go and check them out. Thank you very much, Keegan. And then I did see that the hat was from the ARCC, who's the Aircraft Rescue Coordination Center, and that was from our good friend Rob Ford, who's given us a couple of gifts today. But I would like to move along with our presentation today. And our next speaker is from Link Avia. Not only is he from Link Avia, he is the one that has built a number of businesses at a very young age. And he's an incredibly dynamic individual. Just his entourage and support here today makes up 50% of this crowd already. That's the kind of support that this man generates, and the kind of I'm actually only half joking. So thank you very much, everyone from Link Avia and from Bahir's, Captain Bahir's circle. But he really epitomizes the inspirational element of being a successful individual and building a business within and building your own brand within the industry that you're operating in. And so while he's super passionate about flying, he is also super passionate about building others around him. And the talk that we actually had about a 2-hour meeting the other day in his FBO lounge up here in the terminal building, Link Avia. And just the discussion that we had just actually re-inspired me. Good old 43 and a half years old, being inspired by someone 10 years my junior, and the amount of good stuff that he was being able to impart was really amazing. So without further ado, please put your hands together for Captain Bahir Al-Damasi of Link Avia.
Thank you very much.
Take it away.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy.
Thanks a lot, David. Thank you so much. Okay, thanks. Okay. First of all, thank you very much, David, for the great introduction. I really appreciate it. I feel actually so happy when I get told, as what you mentioned now, that I could help or I could share my insights. And it makes me so proud when I get surrounded by such a great people. So thanks a lot, David, once again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Bahir Al-Damasi. I'm a corporate BBJ pilot and founder and CEO of Link Avia. I will not manage to say all the companies I'm involved in, unfortunately, but I manage around 20 companies, 20 active companies in the aviation and in the general trade. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all at this great safety symposium. I wish I can be one of those that will add a great value to this event. Thank you very much, Captain Rian, also for the technical and great insights that you shared from your side. I can't say better, of course. So we all learning from Captain Rian and those that share the great experience in our great aviation industry. So I want to give a promise. I'm not sure if I'll stick to it. Maybe the people that knows about me, they know that it will be very difficult for me to keep it short and sweet, but I will do my best. I have around 15 to 20 points that I would like to share with you guys. Hopefully we can make it before lunch. And so Link Avia, actually, we are part of a large group aviation industry, more specifically the business aviation and general aviation. So I started from South Africa. That's why South Africa was always, it has a special place on my heart. And, you know, in life, everything happens for a reason. And the only thing that brought me to South Africa back then in 2012 is just to study to become a pilot. And that was my dream. So, you know, unfortunately, in today's time, you get people that makes things impossible. And today I need to say that everything is possible. With discipline, with commitment, with hard work, with honesty, sincerity, you can make things happen. And You know, I said I don't want to share, or I don't want to give, or I don't want to get a specific written article or something that my team could manage to give to me, but I decided to say it from my own heart so you can all feel it, because I feel it's an obligation. It's a message that you need to give to everyone. And in our religion, or in our life, in our ethics, the more you help people, the more you get hands in your life. This is how it works. I can tell you now, I was not at all, at any given moment, that I said this mission is not possible. I was always telling myself, I was always self-educating myself and self-discipline myself, and saying, you know what, just work hard. You don't have to look at anyone. I managed a flight school in 2016, Unitas Flying School, that was owned by Captain Pete Ace. He's a great DFE pilot. And I have the honor as well that he's flying with me personally now for my own company, Jet Avia. So we fly the BBJ together. He's a 737 pilot, and he used to fly for Saf Air, Mango, and he's a great pilot. So the reason why I'm sharing this, it's so surprising that this man, he gave me my instructor's rating, he gave me my training, he gave me my CPL training, and we bought the flight school back then from him, and then we had a condition. You know what? You have to become the CEO for at least 1 year. We need to learn from you. So this is also another lesson, that you need to understand that experience comes with lots of pain. It comes with lots of hard work. And it's so difficult to find someone just sharing his insights. And I have to say that Captain Pete Ace was one of those that he was never at all holding any knowledge to himself or shy to say it. So that's why it's important for us to learn from those that are willing to share their insights or share their experience. But it taught me a lot in this 1 year that I told myself, because it's about an attitude, it's about a discipline. What are you telling yourself? What are you reminding yourself of? You have to tell yourself all the time, I need to learn. I need to look for someone. I need to look up for someone that I can see that he knows. I can see that he would add value. So it was very important that I take my career to the next level. I was the operations manager, and then I managed to become the CEO accountable manager of that flight school that time. I think in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And then from there, I started to grow. I did my instructor's rating. And I always had something that says, I need to build, I need to grow. I started a small company like Bahir Al-Damasi Group. You know, it sounds large and great and big, but it was actually a paperwork. You know, it was just a company documents that says Bahir Al-Damasi Group. But then I had a dream. I said, one day I need this company to grow. I need to have many companies, as much as companies I can. Under this company, I need to employ people, I need to empower people, I need to help people. And one thing I need to say, if your intentions are right, you will always get things right. You just need to fix your intentions. This is, call it religion, call it the law of world, call it the law of life, call it whatever you call it. But this is how life works. You become good. I always tell even my people, just become a good person. That's all. You don't have to stress yourself, you know, because our capabilities are not the same. My capability and your capability is not the same. But what is guaranteed? If you do your level best, you will always get the best. This is how it works. This is why I always disagree about people that says life is not fair. From my point of view, what I think, and what I believe, that life is very, very fair. You work hard, you get something in return. Maybe what you get, you're not gonna like. But in actual fact, this is the best for you. Why? Because you don't have the full picture. We don't have the whole insights. That's why, like how the gentleman was talking and saying, you know, I have a difficult person talking with me and difficult instructor talking to me. And we also used to experience this many, many times. When I came to South Africa, you know, it was a mission for you just to ask a question, just to say, can I change my instructor? It was so difficult. You know, you have to talk to someone, you have to ask someone, you know, you're not from the country, you don't know what's going on, you don't know even the industry, you don't know this aviation? How does it work? Is it fine? If I ask, and that's why educating yourself, as Captain Ryan said, it's very, very important. You need to understand, is there anything wrong if I need to change my instructor? Why am I changing my instructor? You need to always have an open communication. You need to be, sometimes, and we always say it, you start with good, you will always get a good result. So even if it's a difficult man and you're going to the difficult man, you tell him, hello, sir, how are you? You know what? I just noticed that you've been always difficult and I don't know, is this something, did I do something wrong or something? This man, you're putting him in such a position that he has to open the communication, but everything in life, it has a solution. Any problem that, there isn't something that doesn't have a way forward. You can always, you just need to look. Sometimes you're looking at the wrong door or the closed door. You just need to open. You need to look at the bigger picture. And this is something very important, whether for aviation, whether in general life. You always need to look at the bigger picture. The moment you look at the bigger picture, you'll start seeing things differently. Because this narrow vision, it's always a problem, In our industry, it's very specific. It's very critical. We have to manage so much of workloads and so much of stress and so much. And as Captain Ryan said as well, that you will never get things 100% right, but it's just about how you mitigate it. And it's about when to say no. Because sometimes we feel shy, it's so difficult for you to say no. We're not used to it. Sometimes it's a culture issue as well. Just someone asking you to do something and then you can't say no. But sometimes saying no, it's a solution. But then you can't see it because you're not used to it. And it becomes very challenging. So with us, we have to manage, on top of normal commercial aviation and whatever happens in the commercial world, you still have someone behind the scene pushing you and pushing limits. I need to be there in this meeting now. I'm not willing to wait. I need the aircraft to take off now. I need my cabin crew now. I need my pilots now. I need my crew now. It becomes very challenging. The way you handle this, it becomes, you always need to remind yourself, as I said, safety comes first. I need to take the right decision. Because sometimes they can't see the full picture again. But it's all about educating the people around you. You need to be open. You need to be able to say, you know what, sir? I would love to make your flight happen. It's about attitude. It's about an approach. You don't say just no and that's it. It's about an approach. And this is what we learned in business in general, and how you conduct business and how you deal with people and how you treat people. But you still need to be able to say no. That's a big thing that lots of people, unfortunately, are not able to consider. So many things. Okay. Another thing, I think I should have started with this, but maybe I mentioned it in between. I know we all come from different backgrounds. And what I love about this country, that you will see that everything is possible. Whatever your background is, you are always welcomed. We have the very same thing in Egypt. I would love to see everyone in this event, hopefully in our air show in Alamein, taking place in September. I'm not advertising or anything, but it's my country, so I said I should say that, because I'm so proud of what we have achieved recently in our country. We have made a great progress in many industries, and aviation, of course, as more specific. And we actually exhibiting in Al Alamein this year in September, and you will also see what I'm talking about. We don't have differences. We are all equal. There is no issues with, sorry to say, colors or whatever it is. We just like to welcome people. We need to see people around us. We need to be surrounded with our beloved people. But what I needed to mention is you need to have God in your life. Whatever you believe, you need to have some faith, in what you do. You need to be honest. As I said, you can call it, it's something general. You can call it religion. You can call it whatever. I don't know what's the best words to describe it. But you just need to be a believer. You need to believe of something. You need to say this whole world is controlled by something. I'm not talking about something specific, but I mean, you need to always say that there is someone is watching us and seeing everything we do. That's why I say when you do something with great intention, it will always come back to you. And the nice thing about it, that everything, it's the whole life is based in give and take. So the more you give, the more you take. If we just remind ourselves with that, it will make a big difference in our life. So that's why it's not, we will see it in our workplace, we'll see it in our businesses, we'll see it every way. Someone is trying to put someone down thinking he's so intelligent and he's so clever and he's very smart. But this is not how it works. This is not how it works. Because the whole world is still controlled. So maybe I can't see you as your boss or as your colleague or whatever it is, but someone else is watching the process. And if we start educating yourself and telling ourselves that, you know what, we've been always watched by someone, and we start implementing that on our own life to say, you know, I'm being controlled, I'm being seen, I need to do something good. Try to see what impact you will have in your own life. Try to change your life and say, I need to be a better person. I need to respect my colleagues. I need to respect my workplace. I need to, even if this person is not seeing what I'm saying, I still need to see something good about him. And then it will happen to you. Someone will be in the same position, is protecting your back and is saying something good about you. So do your best in your capacity and capability. We all, as I said, we have capabilities. Do your best. The best will always come back to you. Every person in this life, he has or she has a fingerprint. Everyone has something amazing about him. It's so sad when we see someone does not understand himself. You know, sometimes I interview someone and this person is coming to be a receptionist. And then I see this person is amazing. You know, he can be a sales, or she can be a salesperson, or she can be, you know, senior in something. She can do something else. It doesn't mean that every job, it's a great job. But I mean, positioning the people at the right place, it's also not easy. And sometimes the people, because they have, they only work with what's available. And then they change their direction in life, you know, and then it's so sad that they did not have the ability, or they didn't have the chance to discover themselves, you know, to say, what do I need to achieve? What is good about me? What do I do the best? And that will reflect also in the progress on these personnel, or on these people, the way the result that you will see out of these people, if you position them at the right place, you'll see a great result. But every person has something great about him. Yes, Mr. David. Sorry.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you made a great point when we were having our discussion earlier. And one of the best ways, or one of the key things that you've done to build a good business, is to have the right HR representation. Is that what you're alluding to over here?
Okay, so as David mentioned, you know, in the early stage of starting your own business, it's very difficult because you are your own HR, you are your own accountant. I cannot tell you I started a company, I had 100 people working for me. It's impossible. You know, so I was everyone in the whole process. I was the operations manager, I was the one that does the schedules, I was the reception, I was everything in this whole process. And then it's so difficult because you need to wear different hats all the time. You know, it's not easy. And you still need to keep the distance, you still need to keep the lines, you know, in order for people to still hold your respect. But sometimes, in this process, you need to remind yourself, I am not an HR, I'm not an HR, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an operations manager, I'm not this. You need to remind yourself in this whole process. Why? Because you don't need to lose the direction. You need to always tell yourself, there is something that I need to achieve. There's something that is still missing in the process. And this is why it was so important. The moment I saw the resources, and remember, it's not only about employing someone, because sometimes if you get a great or if you get a good caliber in a specific position, like an HR, group HR director, now, to get this person and he's sitting down doing nothing, because for him it's not only about getting a salary. He needs to achieve something. So it's so difficult equation. You can have the money to headhunt the biggest HR or the best HR, the best CFO or whatever it is. But now to convince these people to be part of your vision, it's the actual mission. This is the actual pain. You know, this is what you need to work on. And that is what this is what I use in my own businesses, that I always share visions. You will see all my team, I always share with them. You know, I always tell them where we're going, because no one would like it if they're sitting in a bus or in a car or in a transport, they don't know where they're going. You know, even if it's a receptionist or someone cleaning, whatever, no one will like it. You know, you need to tell them. You need to motivate them. You need to explain to them. But to choose the right time, that's the most difficult part, where you need to see the whole picture. Why am I choosing this time specifically to start getting this person and that person? So HR is one of course, you build your businesses on a great HR. It's very important. But that doesn't mean he's the only person that needed in the organization. Because what I always say, it's like we're playing a football game. Sometimes you won't see the goalkeeper. Sometimes you won't see the defender. You know, you will see only the people scoring goals. You know, this is the best guy. This one is very good. Messi, Cristiano, you know, they're scoring, they're doing this. So you always repeat the names of the people that are taking or you seeing the results. They are the means of the results. But if you see the actual numbers, you will see now when the defender gets a red card, he can take the striker out and to cover his defense, you know, and get someone else instead of the defender. Now you start realizing defender is very important. If you look at the person that is doing the coffee, you know, it's like the defender. But you say, no, this guy does the coffee, is not important. No, he's very important, because without the person that does the coffee, we'll look at each other. You know, who's going to do the coffee? You look at this person, you look at this person, no one will do the coffee. And then you're struggling. And then you will only know, oh, this person is very important. So it's amongst the things that you need to remind yourself, choosing the right time and telling yourself, each and every person is very important in your organization. And this is how you manage to build, and this is how you manage to grow, because without people you cannot achieve. If you tell yourself, I'm the best to do this, it's a human being. No one can say it doesn't happen to him. You know, I'm better than you with answering the phone. I'm better than you with dealing with a client. I'm better than you with doing this. Everyone will say the same thing. But you need to remind yourself, you know, I need to delegate. I need to delegate. I need to give, I need to be the backbone. I need to help people. I need to push people. I need people to grow. It's all about intention. We're coming back to the same thing. You have good intention. I need people to grow around. That's why I say, guys, honesty, sincerity, and hard work. Do these three things. You're either going to grow where you are, or God will take you to a better place. Include, maybe my place is not good for you, and maybe you're not good for me. You understand? That's why you just do your best, and something will happen to you. Okay? Something good, something great will happen to you. So, the other thing, let's talk a little bit about aviation. So in aviation, we mentioned, you know, it's about mitigating, how you mitigate, and how you say, how you teach yourself to say no. You know, sometimes you need to be able to open a discussion, whether with your captain, with your colleague, with your management, whatever it is. You need to be able to discuss. And also from the other side, management needs to understand that we need to open the doors, you know, because sometimes they are so, it's so difficult, as the gentleman mentioned. You know, you can't talk to someone. You talk to someone is like you're doing an offense, you know, and this is not the way of conducting business. But aviation, it's little bit different, you know. Normally in normal business, you can take a shortcut, you will be rewarded from management, you know. But in aviation, it doesn't work like that. There is no shortcuts. If you take the shortcuts and then you're doing something wrong, no one will ever reward you for doing something illegal or doing something funny or whatever. And then this is one of the things that I always see. You see companies getting so anxious, you know, from authorities, as an example. Any civil aviation authority, I don't need to call a specific authority. But again, it's about knowledge. If you understand the CAA is there to oversight your process. You already have your manuals, you have everything approved. You just need to do what you told them that you are going to do. It's as simple as that. And they are not there to police you around, So even if you do something wrong, as long as you have a system that can pick up the mistakes, correct it, prevent it of happening in the future, and that's it. You don't need anything else. But people doesn't understand it like this. No, let's hide this. Let's do this. I did something wrong with my FTP or whatever. Let me show it. I have a system that showed it, and then we did something about it. We corrected my quality, my safety. They sit together. They said in the future we're going to implement this system to prevent it of happening in the future, and that's it. Even if they have to see it, they can see it. Actually, this is how you show them that you're conducting the right business. You understand, in the right manners. And again, it's about education. It's about educating yourself and telling yourself that you can achieve. One more thing before I forget that I needed to mention, I'm not saying this in purpose or anything, but it's reality. If you look at my company in South Africa, you will see maybe 80% of the employees are females. And this is not for any reason, but this is how it works. This is how it is. In Egypt, I think more or less the same, maybe 70% females, 30% males. What I need to say today, everything is possible. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't say that, this people or this specific people have limitations and they can't do this. They can do lots of things. They can do lots of things. And again, it's just about understanding who can do what the best, how to position the people. You'll see certain positions, it's the best thing to put a female in this position. And you'll see positions that managing companies and doing great work and being a pilot, being whatever it is, they can do it comfortably, and they can grow and they can do whatever. But it's about, again, it's about discipline, it's about how you're conducting and how you're living your life. And that's the most important thing. So one important, maybe David, when my time is over, you must just tell me, because I think it's not going to end. 5 minutes? Okay, no problem. So another thing that you always need to remind yourself of your goals, It's very important not to miss your goal, because the people that surrounding you, they play a big role in your life. You need to choose the people around you. And why? Because, if we are in a group of companies, we have two ways of personalities. One personality can affect others. One personality they receive from others. So if someone tells me, let's smoke, and then I become smoker. Maybe if I'm the one that affects the others, I tell him quit, and then he will quit, no matter what he does. So you need to understand yourself. Am I this person that gets affected by people around me? And then I have to be more cautious, I need to be careful, because one of the important facts, you need to understand yourself. You need to understand who I am. Am I this person that gets affected by anything said around me? So do not be part of social media, as an example. Do not be part of this, because I know my pain. It's very important to understand your weaknesses. Every person in this life, he has strength points, he has weakness points. But up until you bring your idea or you bring your dream to life, and then it's fine. Be proud of it, share with whatever you would like to share. But everything happens on time. But it's very important that you surround your people with the right, you surround yourself with the right people, because it makes a big impact in your life. Understanding yourself, it's very, very important. So, okay. And lastly, last thing, David, that I need to talk about, it's very important. It's habits. Habits is very important. You will see 3 people in the same class, same ground, same financial, same stability, same culture, same level of understandings. And one thing always happens to this man. Something wrong always happens to this one guy from these 3 guys, The bad things always happen to this man. They have the same class, same teacher, same everything. You give them the same givens. You will always see in this person's life, there's a bad habit. And bad habit, it means many things. The bad habit doesn't only mean something specific, but it can be that you're not waking up in time. You're not disciplining yourself. You're surrounding your people with the wrong people. You're surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Whatever it is, but it's a bad habit that you always do. Maybe you're doing something, something wrong. I don't need to mention something specific. Maybe it's not right to say it. But anyway, it will come always back to the bad habits. So we always need to look at that in our lives. You're not seeing yourself succeeding, and people around you, they are succeeding. You need always to tell yourself, what, maybe I have a bad habit in my life. Let me try to change it. And lastly, before I thank everyone for the great event, communication, guys, is vital. You need to communicate. We need to learn. We need to be able to communicate to each other. We need to be able to talk to each other, And this will make a big difference in our lives. So if you have an open channel, and if we're being honest and straightforward, be nice, have a good approach and everything, but also, have an open communication at all times. It will help you a lot. And I would say 80%, 70% of the misunderstandings, maybe even 90%, it's about miscommunications, You didn't understand what I'm saying. You're trying to solve a problem over WhatsApp. Impossible. Mission impossible. WhatsApp is just to communicate, not to fight. And no, what did you mean by saying this? Sometimes I say hi in WhatsApp. You say, this man doesn't say hi normally. Why is he saying hi now? You understand? So it's just about understanding what needs to be done and how I need to do it, and my approach, and how I would like to speak, how I should talk to people. So lastly, thank you very much, guys, for attending and giving me the chance to say some of the points that I needed to raise today. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, David, for the kind invitation. Thank you all. I have my team also here from all the way from Egypt. I appreciate your guys' attendance. Everyone, Mr. Ashraf, Captain Surugi, Captain Ahmed, Captain Nancy, Captain Hilal, and Dr. Alia, of course. And my little beautiful kids, Zaina and Malik. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity today to share my insights with you all. I really appreciate it, and wish you all the best, and hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think we can all agree some amazing nuggets dropped there.
Thank you.
And how we relate success to safety and our journey through this beautiful aviation industry that we're in. I think Captain Baher summed it up and also expanded on a lot of things. And I think the big message that's come through so far, just in Captain Rian's talk, and it emerged a few times in Captain Baher's talk, is that don't do everything yourself. And this is a lesson I personally need to learn, is that count on the people around you. And if you don't have people around you, do what you can to get people around you so that you can count on them. And the captain needs to do the walk around. He's not going to be doing, or she's not going to be doing, the handling of the passengers. We have crew resources for that. Match the resource to the task. Correct. All right, everybody, we are going to break for lunch. And I would like us to be fair to everyone who did register for the Safety Symposium. And I'm very, very glad that everybody has joined us here today. And if you haven't registered, I would just like for our registees to please go and grab lunch first. We are going to break for lunch now. Lunch was supposed to be an hour, but endurance equals time. Endurance is run out. And so we will be back in these seats at 1:55. Give me a time. 28 past. So we will grab an amazing pizza pasta buffet sponsored by Leonardo Helicopters. Big round of applause for Leonardo, everybody. And we will be back in our seats at 1:55 so that we can have our final international speaker, Captain Obet Mazini of Cathay Pacific fame, deliver his amazing TED Talk. Safety Symposium address. Thank you very much. All right. I'd like to just make one quick shout out, and that's to the EAA Young Aviators. Raise your hands, make a noise. There we go. That's our future generation of young aviators. A lot of them studying to be commercial pilots, but a lot of them are just private pilots. Like Montague over there is busy building his own 172. A lot of the people are just really out there. You know, well, the young aviators are a big piece of the puzzle. And currently, let's be honest, Captain Cole, that piece of the puzzle is a little bit lacking at the moment. And the initiative taken by the EAA has been absolutely amazing. And I think the EAA Young Aviators is in its second year of operation now, and every single one of their events are massively well supported. They're a big supporter of the safety symposiums, and I think that's a huge testament to the people like the EAA and Captain Cole and those kinds of people that really put all that energy into developing the future of aviation in South Africa. And I'm not going to say and again. I would like everybody to please give the EAA and the EAA Young Aviators a huge round of applause. And a big well done. All right. Our second international speaker, because this year the safety symposiums went international, is Captain Obet Mazinyi. Captain Obet is a retired airline captain who, let me start from the beginning over here, will be applying airline SOPs and CRM to your weekend flying. That's the topic of the talk and how that relates to standardization. And with a phenomenal aviation career spanning exactly 40 years, plus 40 plus years, right? So as old as I am, as young as I am, Captain Mazinyi has been flying for, and he is nothing short of a global aviation industry leader. We are truly in the presence of aviation royalty here today, everybody. And I think that deserves a round of applause, absolutely. And retiring on the Boeing 747-400 cargo aeroplane, the queen of the skies, 800 or 400? Both 800 and 400, the absolute queen of the skies. What a privilege to have this person come and drop the knowledge that he's going to on everybody here today. So without further ado, Captain Mazinyi, everybody.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming over here today. And as I hate talking about myself, actually, because I try to make everything about everybody else, not me. Anyway, I'd just like to say thank you at the very start, because all of you here could be somewhere else. So that the fact that you took time to be here in what you could be doing somewhere else is really a privilege for me, that you've come here to listen to all the speakers and myself here today. The subject, as David said, is to do with CRM and also standardization. A lot of the things that I post on my social media is to do with teaching and sharing knowledge, mainly to upcoming pilots, EAA type people, because there's a lot of things in aviation that are kept to ourselves. We don't communicate it to people. And I try and bring it down to the level that the layman or the laywoman on the street can sort of understand and grasp what I'm trying to explain or what I'm trying to pass on to them. But today, let's start with CRM, for example. It's cockpit resource management, or in some areas they call it crew resource management, but I like to call it flight resource management, because it covers everything, not just in the cockpit, it covers everything that's going on around the world. So when I first started flying many years ago, I was a co-pilot on a DC-3. with Ethiopian Airlines. Even though I originally trained with British Airways, when I finished with British Airways, there were no flying jobs. I could be a flight attendant, even though I had a pilot's license, or I could just work on the ground as a passenger services officer. So I opted to go to Ethiopia, where I became a co-pilot on the DC-3. From there, I went to do the Viscount with Air Zimbabwe. By then, Zimbabwe had got independent because originally that's where I'm from. Now, I'll tell you about CRM. Before CRM became a thing, airlines like British Airways, when it was called BOAC, British Overseas Aircraft Airline Corporation, they had people that had fought in the Second World War as Royal Air Force pilots. Now, these guys, after the war, joined BOAC. These were single pilot captains in the war. They flew Spitfires and so on. So when they joined the airline, they were put on Viscounts or VC-10s, and they went straight into the left seat. They had never been first officers. They just went straight into the left seat as captains, and everybody just left them as very senior people because they'd come from the war, they defended the United Kingdom, and please leave them alone, don't touch them. You're in that seat because this captain fought in the war. So because of that, essentially they did everything themselves. I'll give you an example. There's two pilots, and generally if the pilot flying is the captain in the left seat, the first officer would be assisting the captain during flight. So the captain might ask for a flap setting, and the first officer would select the flap, landing gear to go down or to go up after takeoff. But these guys, who were ex-wartime heroes, as it were, did everything themselves because they were single pilot. During the war, that's what they did. They did everything themselves. So they got into the airline, 2 crew, 3 crew, or 4 crew, and they would take off in the airplane. After takeoff, the captain would reach across and put the gears up by himself, even though the co-pilot's there, and he'd raise the flaps. I'm saying he because all of them were all male at the time, because Royal Air Force at the time during the Second World War, they wouldn't let any females fly. They would allow the females to ferry airplanes, but they wouldn't let them to go into combat, as it were. But anyway, because of that, there were a lot of accidents where a lot of first officers sitting in the right seat, because they were told to revere these captains, would not touch anything half the time. The first thing some captains used to do, true story, they'll sit in the seat, I want you to sit there and not say anything. I'll ask you if I want you to speak, otherwise just shut up and just sit there, and I'll ask if I want you. And that's how it was. The cockpit was run like that. So a lot of times the wheels were forgotten, because the early airplanes as well never had warning systems that told the pilots in the cockpit that the wheels are not down when you came close to the ground. So if they were forgotten, and the co-pilot was, in those days, frightened to say anything to this captain who's been yelling at him for the last 5 hours, he'd just sit there, and the airplane, the first time they would know that the wheels were not there was when the metal was scraping the runway. So these things happened several times. Modernity, of course, brought in things like warning systems where if the flaps were not down and the gear was not down and so on. But that's where CRM came from people like that. These people that controlled the cockpit, controlled the airplane as if they were on their own. And the co-pilots were so frightened of speaking to them. 30 years later, it happened again with things like Korean Airlines, where Korean Airlines, it's got a good reputation now, but in the old days, like 20 years ago, they've had a very bad reputation because, again, the gradient in the cockpit was so steep. The captain sitting in the left seat, most of the time were ex-Korean Air Force people. But sometimes you got a senior Korean Airlines first officer who was in the right-hand seat with a co-pilot or with a captain who had left the Air Force before the very senior first officer. So he or she had left the Air Force, joined Korean Air, became a captain, and then the new first officer, who was actually senior in the Air Force to the guy sitting in the left seat as a captain, would run the cockpit as if he was the captain. The captain because of the culture in Korea, the captain, even though he was the captain of the aeroplane, would not run the cockpit because he knew that the first officer sitting in the right-hand seat was my commander. So even though he was the captain, he was listening to this guy who was less experienced on the aeroplane. And several accidents happened because of that. So they introduced cockpit resource management to try and lower the gradient and to encourage everyone in the flight deck to speak up when things were going wrong. Didn't matter who was sitting in the left seat or right seat. In fact, Korean Air had to have a whole revamp. I think, what was it, United Airlines or somebody went there and just had to ingrain this culture to encourage the junior to speak up if something was wrong in the cockpit or if they saw something, because there's also the face thing. If you said something to the captain and he or she lost face, you'd never live it down because all his colleagues who were in training would make sure you had a tough time and you'd end up leaving the airline. That's what it was. So they had to get this out of it. The first time when they introduced it, I remember I was in Air Zimbabwe at the time before I'd gone to Hong Kong, and the people that needed crew resource management were the most resistant to attend the classes. They said, I remember one captain speaking to another guy, said, what's the lesson about this new CRM thing? He said, oh, they're teaching everybody to hold hands. That's exactly how they described it, but they're the people that needed it most. Because these were the bullies in the cockpit. They bullied everybody in the cockpit. They bullied the cabin crew. They bullied the engineers. They were the most undesirable people to have in the cockpit. And they needed the training. So we all had to start attending these crew resource management or cockpit resource management to lower the gradient in the cockpit to encourage everybody to be free and speak up when something was going wrong. So that's what CRM is all about. Speak up, especially you youngsters coming up. Don't worry about not speaking up. And just to come back to a gentleman was saying, how do you manage a bullying instructor? That's what I call it. An instructor who is a bully. Everybody here, I think, will agree that they don't like being yelled at or shouted at. If anybody shouts at anybody, even at work, and the boss is shouting at you, most people switch off. Most of us just switch off and say, and they want, even the efficiency of the operation goes down because the person says, well, he or she knows it all. Why should I bother with this? So if you don't like being yelled at and you're an instructor, why are you yelling at your student? Why are you doing it? Don't do that because you don't like that happening to you also. So that's already CRM. In a PPL Cessna, and you're teaching a student, don't yell at the student. Let the student relax. Let the student understand that he or she is under training. It's not about you, it's about the student. So yelling and shouting and having a reputation at the flight school as one of those tough guys. Who are you flying with? Oh, you're flying with captains. Oh, good luck. That is not being an instructor. That's actually being a pain. It's dangerous to flight training. And you shouldn't be in the cockpit if that's what's going on. CRM, another incident where somebody talked about mental health. He talked about mental health. In CRM, you really want to be careful with mental health because nowadays, the companies are all about money. Everything is about money. If you see a new procedure coming in, I've got to think, what's in it for the company in this? And you'll find if you really dig deeper, they're saving money by doing something. Unfortunately, it's going that way a lot in aviation. They're doing something or changing a procedure because it's going to save them money. They'll embellish it and tell you, oh, it's because it's going to make the system more efficient, but it isn't. In many cases, not all cases, but a lot of cases, it's all to do with saving money. I'll give you an example of a CRM coming in when you talk about mental health. If, for example, you're going for a flight and you claim mental health in a lot of companies now, they say, oh, if your mental health, we're taking you off flying, there's obviously something wrong, and the move then will be to try and get you off flying completely because they think you're going to be a liability, insurance-wise and so on. So a lot of people continue going to work because they're worried that they might lose their job. But that's what's come about. So a lot of people with mental health are now coming up and saying, well, it's not a mental health issue, I'm just stressed. So if you're stressed, they'll give you time off, but you don't lose your job. But if you claim mental health, a lot of companies say, oh, mental health, oh, we don't want him or her in the cockpit. They might have some issues, and as we know, with German wings, the guy flew into the mountain, and we know the story about that. So a lot of companies are now very, very suspicious of anybody claiming mental health to get time off. So be very cautious about using the word mental health. I mean, if it exists, it exists, and you must use it. All I'm saying is be careful when you use, I've got a mental health issue. The companies are jumping onto that to get rid of employees. I know it for sure. So be careful. So certainly a lot of people claim mental health because they want time off. But I think probably the person is just stressed as opposed to actually having a mental health issue. So just be careful with that. So that's CRM. What about standardization? Earlier on, I was speaking to David. David, I asked you about, without you knowing anything about a particular musical machine, how would you know what is the pause button? And you said to me that. I said to you, how would you know about the play button? And you said it would be the arrow pointing that direction. I'll just play. If I press that, I know it's play. And also an increase in volume and so on. That is standardization. It's international. If you buy any TV, if you buy a musical instrument, you know what, without understanding the Japanese or anything, you know that if I press that, that means fast forward. If I press, that's standardization by itself. Because if people did anything that they wanted, the whole world would be chaotic. So in aviation terms, standardization just means that all procedures for engineers, pilots, air traffic control, maintenance people follow specific protocols so that everybody knows and understands how things should be done. So standardization is a how-to. How should this be done? So within that framework, engineers and pilots have got procedures for doing certain things. Internationally, that's how certain things are done. Air traffic control use certain procedures to speak to aircraft and pilots, and everybody understands what air traffic control is saying to the pilots, what air traffic control is saying to ground vehicles. That is standard. You can't just go there and say certain things that anybody doesn't understand. So I can fly to any airport in the world. I'll understand certain terminology used by air traffic control. I'll go to a certain airport and I'll understand specific taxiing procedures because everybody in the world understands that. We can't just do our own thing. But within that framework, airlines have got, and companies, charter companies, flight schools, within that framework, they can modify their own standard procedures so long as they don't deviate from the overall safety aspect of maintaining safety within the standardization procedure. So, for example, we've got checklists. The checklist is a system, whether engineering or flying, there's an emergency checklist. They expect you to follow a specific pattern in dealing with the malfunction and emergency. If you do it any other way, you could find yourself in trouble. What's happened is all the airlines, first of all from ICAO, all the countries, it's nearly 200 countries are members of the United Nations ICAO, so they've got all agreed, this is what we should do. All airports in our countries, in all countries, should be like this. Runways should be like this. This is what we'll all do. So all the world, all the airports do that. That's a standard procedure. Then within that, ICAO has said, okay, once we've all agreed on that, all airlines, all aviation personnel, engineering-wise, will follow these protocols. Pilots will follow these protocols. So a pilot from South Africa can go to South America, can go to the United States. The standard procedures for flying are the same. They're exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the way they do it, or the way you might say something. So you might go to South African Airways, for example, and they say, well, when we talk to ATC, we use this phraseology when we're asking for this. That's just a South African Airways thing. But so long as it doesn't deviate from the standard that everybody else understands, that's okay. If an airline or a training school wants to vary something from the standard ICAO procedures, what they do is they write out the procedure the way they'd like to do it because it's a local procedure that maybe suits their kind of operation. They write that procedure, present it to the CAA or Aviation Authority, and give their reasons why they think that framework works better than the standard ICAO procedure. The CAA looks at it, examines it, and says, yeah, we agree with this. It still maintains this level of safety that you would be doing as an ICAO operator. And then that becomes a variation for that particular airline. But it doesn't deviate from maintaining the actual safety. So that's how standardization works. I've been involved in standards procedures on the Boeing 747 mainly. For nearly 30 years, I've been flying the 747. So I was in the flight standards officer. And what I maintained there is just making sure that people maintained what they were supposed to be doing within the flight deck under the procedures stipulated by the flight school or the airline or the charter company, whatever it is. If people deviated, I would want to find out why they were deviating from that. When I first started off as a co-pilot, I had a little book, and all of us co-pilots had these little books where you wrote down what this particular captain liked when you flew with him. You know what I mean? So can you just imagine an airline with, say, 3,000 pilots? Of that, on your fleet, there's 500 captains. And every time you went to fly, you had to open the little book and say, Captain Smith, or with him, you must not say this, and you make sure when you do this, you do such and such. And you had this little book before you went flying. You looked at the captain you were flying with, and you had this little book which told you what this captain liked and how he or she wanted it to be done, which is ridiculous. Because if you were called out on reserve or standby, you went with another captain and you did something that another captain said, who told you to do that? That's not how I do it. That's exactly how it was in the cockpit. It was like that. So standardization stopped all that. It just said, this is what happens. So it doesn't matter who you flew with. You just got in the cockpit and you knew exactly what would come next, irrespective of who you were flying with. What was coming next was coming next. I didn't need this little book, but I really did have a little book. All of us had them. If you fly with so-and-so, oh, you better be careful. Don't do this. Otherwise, he's going to yell at you. So standardization had to just take all that out. The little idiosyncrasies of individuality had to be taken out. And that also enhanced safety. What it does is, if something goes wrong, you know what the basic template to return to say, okay, we've made a mistake, maybe I missed something, let's go back to how it should be done. And you retrace your steps and you find something that you missed out and you continue with the procedure. That's what standardization does. It really does enhance safety in airline operations. And for the bullies out there, instructors, please, it's not about you. It's about the student. So keep it at that. Questions?
A separate mic.
Okay, a separate mic. Okay, yeah. I'm just on time, just about half an hour. Perfect.
Is it on? Is it on? Yes, it is. Okay, who had their hand up first? Cole. Take it away.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me? I'm a student pilot, and thank you. I'm a student pilot, and you were speaking about standardization. I want to ask, is there any general advice that you would give me, or student pilots in general, about building your career from PPL, CPL, all the way up into airlines? That would be the most effective way, or any advice that you can give us? Yeah.
Yeah, earlier on, somebody talked about how expensive it is in aviation. So a lot of times that's a big barrier in aviation, just the price, the cost of everything. anything that has to do with aeroplanes, whoever manufactures it, because it's aeroplanes, they triple the price. The same item can be in a motor vehicle, and it's going to cost a fraction of what. Immediately you take the same item, it might be exactly the same unit that fits on the aeroplane, but immediately you apply it and and put it in a packaging saying aeroplane, it gets tripled in price. So for you building your career in aviation, this is what I did. I was always ahead of anybody around me. So I read and read and read. I just kept reading, kept learning. I used to go to the airport and speak to pilots that were coming off the aeroplanes. Hello, how was the flight? And I'd try and get notes from them, and they would look at me as a little pest, some of the airlines, because they've come from a long-haul flight, and there's this young guy that keeps walking along them. But I used to do that. I actually used to do that. I used to go to the airport. Some of you won't know what a tape recorder is, but I used to have a little tape recorder which had the cassette, and you could record the sounds of airplanes. I used to go to the airport and record the sounds of airplanes. And then later on, I got a little radio, airband radio, which is commonplace now. And I learned ATC and phraseology while I was still at high school, just listening to pilots. So what I would give to you is just read and read and read again. Keep reading and read again. If you're doing a technical course, find out what's coming next in the next lesson. And I used to spend the next evening just reading what was coming the next day. So when I went to the classroom the next day, I was already one step ahead because I was simply confirming from the instructor what I read. That's on the ground. That's what I did. I did that all the time. My normal sleep time was 1 or 2 a.m. Even though I finished school at 5, I don't know, I was just dedicated to the profession. I just maintained that. You're going to get detractors who say to you, why are you doing all that? After all of us have already been at school all day, and what are you trying to achieve by whatever? Just do what you need to do, and you'll get there. Somehow the universe works like that. I don't know how it is. You know how they say that luck meets hard work? It does. It certainly does meet hard work. The people who've worked hard and put the dedication in certainly always get lucky. And everybody thinks they're just lucky, but actually they put a lot of hard work into it. So my advice is that's what you should do. Just keep plugging away at it. Any other questions? Yeah.
Wait, just hold on. Sorry, Captain.
Yeah.
Can we had one here, and then I'll come over there. Is that
No,
okay?
but that's fine.
Sorry for that.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
Oh, you got one there. Okay, start with that one.
All right. Go for it.
Since you're there with the mic anyway.
Morning, Captain.
Hi.
My name is Nyasha, and recently a flight instructor. I wanted to ask regarding your experience with. You touched on how you touched on how other pilots had to endure captains who were very strict and very resistant to the CRM. I wanted to ask if you have been in that position yourself, where you had a captain who was being difficult, and how did you prosper through it? And my second question is, again, regarding your experience, how did you break out of the industry in? You said you did your training in the UK, correct?
Yes.
So you did from student pilot all the way to your ATPL?
To CPL and then ATPL, yes.
Oh, okay.
In the old days, they never had integrated courses where you could go from student pilot and do CPL and also do the ATPL exams. You just finished at CPL. After you did 1,000 hours flying, you went back and did exams to get the ATPL. But now it's all combined, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Then just the first question. How did you manage to persevere through the difficult captains, if you did have that?
Yes, I did. And what I used to say, this is what I used to say, and I got this from another senior first officer at the time. I would look at the captain and say, Captain, I would like to do this procedure because that is the standard procedure I have been taught. What would you like me to do? Because that puts the captain in a bit of a spot, because you're saying to him, Captain, the standard procedure is so and so. However, how would you like me to do it? And then they'll say, yeah, let's just do the standard procedure. Because you put them in a spot now, because you've said, I know you want to deviate from it, but I'm just telling you that the only way I know to do it is like this. And then for the guys that used to shout and so on, I gave them no excuse to shout, because I just kept to the standard. I was so standard that they had no reason to shout or say anything negative, because I just stuck to the book as close as possible. There's no way I ever deviated from the standard practice. And that's what you need to do. Knowledge is power. So if you keep your knowledge high, you know exactly what you should be doing. And you said you're a flight instructor, right? Are you one of those that shouts? All right, okay, yeah. So never do that. I found early in my career, every time I was angry about something in the cockpit, I made a mistake. Something came up and I made a mistake. Every time I showed anger, I made a mistake. So you really have to stay away from that and keep your emotions in check. When I was on training at British Airways, two of our pilots, ex-graduates from the college that I went to, the British Airways Flying College, were killed in a crash at Heathrow. And what happened after the investigation was that the captain, they were flying a Trident, and the school where I trained came under scrutiny. They said, well, two of the pilots that were on there, the first officer, and there was another second officer sitting on the jump seat, should have saved the day. You know, what is the school doing? Two of your pilots were on this aeroplane and it crashed on takeoff out of Heathrow. But in fact, after the investigation later, which always comes later, the captain was the head of the British Airways union, or he was very high within the union. So on the morning of the accident, he had arrived at the airport and he met a colleague who was also a unionist. And they started discussing something to do with what BOAC, as it was then, was intending to do with some of the conditions of service for the pilots. And this union guy, the captain who was flying on this airplane, was very militant, very unionistic, very anti-company, very everything. So when this other colleague told him what British Airways was intending to do, he was very angry. They were standing next to the airplane on the ground before departure. The first officer was in the cockpit preparing, and this captain was speaking to this other captain who told him this and so on. So he was very angry. Anyway, he did the walk around, got in the airplane. He was very angry. The first officer and the second officer were very subdued because they were frightened of this very senior captain, and he's the head of the union. So when things were happening in the cockpit, they daren't touch anything. They were very careful with what they said. The airplane taxied out. Like I said, the early airplanes didn't have as many warning systems as we have today. They took off with the slats not extended. The airplane took off and stalled after takeoff, a Trident, and crashed just the other side of the runway, because of course they didn't have. And it turned out that the first officer was so frightened of saying anything because the captain had yelled at him. He was very senior. The captain didn't notice that he had forgotten the flaps, leading edge flaps were not extended, because he was in a rage. And his mind was on the union and the company and what the company is doing to us and so on. So the entire atmosphere in the cockpit wasn't conducive for flying. They shouldn't have been in the cockpit in the first place. Certainly the captain. So this is what I mean by CRM and sticking to standard procedures. Speak out. If the captain is sitting there and is a bit of an idiot, say it. Doesn't matter. It was self-preservation must always take first place for safety, self-preservation. So be very careful. But that's exactly what happened. That's why I keep saying to people, stop yelling at people, stop being a bully in the cockpit. It's not about you. It's about everybody else. It's about the passengers. It's about the other crew. It's about the engineers. It's really not about you, the captain. It's about everybody else, not you. And that's why the training I do and my posts about sharing is to share information for everybody. Yeah. Go, David. Oh, yeah, the question. I'm rambling.
Hi, I'm Shakira. I'm from Aeroval Flying Academy. With regards to the students that are complaining about, the tuition and the instructors, etc., we've actually developed a program that actually assists the students with regards to the bullying, the costs, all these, problems that the students are facing within academies. We've actually developed a program to assist the students in that regard.
Oh, that's good. Can other students
Absolutely.
look into your company to see how that works and use it?
Yes, so we do have a website, or you can welcome to just Google Aeroval Flying Academy, and then you can just reach out to us. We are out there to assist all the students in the flying academies for their studies and their learnings. It's actually a two-part question.
Yeah.
The second one is, what's the biggest safety risk people tend to ignore? Because they see it every day, because of complacency, workplace hazards, flying fatigue, and routine tasks. We do get complacent. So what are the biggest safety risks that Captain has actually seen over the years? Thank you.
For what I've seen is mostly is complacency. Complacency, I find, is actually one of the things that's coming to play an important part even now, especially with automation. Because of automation, pilot skills are going down a little bit because they're relying on the automatics. They come to you and say, I fly the A350, it does everything for you. Until it doesn't. Then they don't know what to do in a situation like that. So complacency is very important. I used to fly I was based out of Hong Kong's Kai Tak Airport. And Kai Tak Airport, for those of you that know it, it was called the checkerboard approach. And you came in and you had to use checkerboards outside, and you came on an instrument guidance system as opposed to an instrument landing system. It only guided you towards the runway. The final turn onto final approach and landing was all manual. There was no instrumentation that could help you land there. So with that, the instrument guidance system, there was a lot of manual input that was required to fly that approach. And the people that relied completely on the automatics found that approach very difficult. So what I found is that even if you look at accident reports, there were very few, if any, accidents at Kai Tak. And the reason was because Kai Tak was an unusual airport and everybody was on edge going into there. Everybody was alert because they knew we've got to be sure if we don't turn, we're going to hit a mountain. If you didn't turn at the right time, you hit a mountain. Simple. So everyone was alert. Home base. Nice day like today. Our home base, Johannesburg, we're coming in. Everybody's relaxed and so on. And we found that that's where most accidents happen. On a nice day, and everybody wonders, but the weather was great. What happened is because people get complacent because they think, it's a nice day, I needn't check this, I needn't check that. All the difficult airports have got very few accidents because everybody's alert for it. So we found complacency is coming in so strong today because of the automatics. So you really got to keep those skills up. Whenever you're in the simulator, if there's 5 or 10 minutes left at the end, just ask for a manual approach or something without automatics, just to keep those skills up. Yeah. And that's what a lot of airlines are doing. They're actually increasing the manual inputs. Go.
Next question.
And then there's somebody
Monty,
over there.
and then you, if that's okay. No, wait, ladies first, Monty.
Good afternoon once again.
Hi.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Okay, there's a recent story that I read the time I was in Botswana.
Yes.
This week. Okay, let's say that your co-pilot has forged the license, right? You have the normal one, like I don't know how to put it.
I've got a normal,
Yeah, a valid
a valid one, and the co-pilot has got a forged one.
a forged one,
Yeah.
right? And then that person has skills. You understand? So for me, I would like to do an example. So let's say that this is my observer A, this is my observer B. And then let's say that observer B has forged a license but
Yeah.
has the skills. And then observer A has qualifications but
Yes.
doesn't have a skill. Would you guys fire observer B? I don't know if it's making sense.
Yes.
You know, I don't know. I forgot the words of like someone
Yes.
can have some skills and
Yeah.
someone can have qualifications, but
Yeah.
work-wise.
My question to you is, how is observer A with the qualifications? How did he or she gain those qualifications without the skill?
Through studying, you know that you can be well educated.
Yeah.
You can be educated, but not. I don't know how to put it. I'm still trying to figure out that way.
Yeah. I know. I think you mean experience. Because experience, I can be totally qualified and have the best degree out of university, but I don't have the experience. So when I go to real world situations, my application is much lower than somebody who might not even have the degree, but because they've been at it a long time, they're slightly better. But in aviation terms, if somebody doesn't have the qualifications and they're in the cockpit, first of all, they're a fraud. Secondly, there's certain things that you are taught at flight school that the person you think has got the skill to land an airplane and so on, certain situations, that knowledge won't be there when a particular emergency happens because he or she won't have come across it because they haven't been trained for it. Thirdly, everybody, let's say I'm flying an airplane, it's got 300 passengers on board. All their insurance and any claims that they might be given by a company is invalid because you had somebody in the cockpit that was not qualified. So if the airline then goes to the insurance company and says, look, and we had an incident, 300 people have just died, and so on, and the insurance company finds out that somebody in the cockpit was unqualified, that's it. So there's that too. It's not just about having the qualification, the skill.
I will try to rephrase it and
Yes.
come to you personally because it's more than.
It's more than that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but that's really what it is. A lot of these things. I think recently, all of you have seen the Canadian pilot who's been flying for 20-something years with Air Canada, just came out, alleged that he didn't have the right qualifications. So I don't know what's come out of that. I won't say that it's true because sometimes these things come out as sensational news when it first comes out, and then 3 months later you find out that actually he was qualified. It's just that for the 2 months before that he hadn't renewed his. That's what comes out, but that will come out in small print. The big story is that he's unqualified. That's what makes the news. There was a question there, yeah. Monty, go ahead.
Do I need to stand? Can I sit? So my question is based on where do you draw the line between the resources you have, your experience, obviously, and then where does airmanship, as a general overarching, I guess, where do you apply airmanship to all of these things that you've mentioned?
Yeah, good question. Airmanship normally comes in when everything that you've been taught and everything that's happening in the aeroplane is something that is outside the scope of all the procedures that you've ever seen. Then airmanship now comes in. Your background, your experience, your knowledge of the systems comes in because now you draw the line. Now, a very good example is the landing on the Hudson, where everything went out of the way. The biggest problem and obstacle we have in aviation as pilots in the cockpit when things go wrong is time. It's always time. People who work in offices have got the privilege of, if something happens, the boss calls all the managers, everybody to the conference room. And everybody goes to the conference room. They sit there and then they say, this has happened, the government has just announced this, and so on. We don't have that privilege. When the Concorde, Air France Concorde crashed, I don't know if some of you saw the report, there's a point where the air traffic control said, is it possible for you to turn right and land at this airport? And the captain just said two words, no time. So we don't have the privilege a lot of times in the cockpit for the time. It's the time that's always the issue. Because when something happens, you have to act there and then. It's not a management issue where they're going to call all the managers and say, okay, let's talk about this. This is what's happened. You don't have that privilege at that time. Everybody thinks when an airplane crashes, but why did the pilot not make a call to ATC? Why there was no Mayday call? He just disappeared off the radar, which is a nice phrase that the media likes to use. The aircraft fell out of the sky and disappeared off the radar screen. That's what you read in the newspaper. This is because I'll give you an example. If you're driving a car, you're going downhill at speed and the tire bursts. The first thing you're going to be doing is controlling that vehicle to stop it from losing control and going into the bush. That's what you'll be doing. For the next 45 seconds, you'll be fighting that vehicle to stop. That is not the time that you're going to pick up the call and say, look, I've just had a burst tire. I'm just going to stop. I'll tell you when I've stopped. You're going to forget about the cell phone. You're going to worry about trying to stop the vehicle. During that process, maybe the vehicle overturns and so on, and you get killed, and they say, oh, why didn't he make a call to say he's got a problem with the car? You just can't. It's the time. Right, David? Anything more? That's it, right?
Hi. Can I just ask a question that has two scenarios?
Yes.
First scenario is the student and the instructor.
Yeah.
The second scenario is the captain and the co-pilot taking off at Heathrow.
Yep.
In both cases, either the captain or the instructor are,
they're up there.
They're very, very up here in terms of their emotions. And the student or co-pilot needs to diffuse the situation.
Yes.
What would your advice be in both circumstances? One with the instructor and the student, where you've got time to diffuse and maintain that relationship, and the other one where we got no time, but we have to get the message across that he hasn't done the flap, even realizing that he might be angry because of the union.
Yeah. Well, the one with the flap, that's where CRM came in, where we encouraged and taught the most junior person in the cockpit to speak up, irrespective of who. Yeah. Even if it's a mistake, they must speak up. Better that, and the captain say, why did you call me for that? Everything is correct. And even if you say, sorry, I thought it was this, you've saved the day. It doesn't matter. I know of two incidents that have happened in a company very close to me. I won't say who. But company close to me saved the day. The most junior pilot in the cockpit actually saved the day. The airplane was flying, and the two most senior, the captain and first officer, thought that the autopilot was engaged when it wasn't, in a go-around. And the airplane was flying literally by itself. If it had carried on, maybe it would have stalled. And because the two pilots in front maybe believed that the autopilot was engaged, wouldn't have done anything because they'd have said, well, the autopilot's engaged. Because the autopilot's meant to protect you. And it was the junior, the most junior, I think he had just come out of flight school, maybe 8 months. And he spoke up and he yelled in the cockpit. He just basically said, the autopilot's not engaged, Captain. In previous times, he or she might have just kept quiet thinking, oh, they probably know what they're doing. And then for the instructor, in that case, to diffuse the situation, if I was the one being yelled at and I'm flying, I used to say, I remember I said this maybe twice in my career, I said to the instructor, Captain, you have control. That's what I said. And then you'd say, why are you giving me control? I'd say, you have control. You've taught that if I want to pass over control, I should pass control to you. I'll just say you have control. And then I said to one instructor, I'm unable to continue with this training flight with the attitude that you have at the moment. And I'd rather you have control. I'll do the radio if you want me to, and we just go back to the flight school. And then we landed, and then we had a chat. We went to the chief flight instructor, and I said, this is why I did it. And actually, the guy changed. Yeah. But that's what I did. If you're being yelled at and you're flying, and you really can't concentrate, you can't fly. So I just said, you have control. And that's what you should do. Let the instructor fly. Just say, you have control. That's my take on it anyway. Yeah.
Good day, Captain.
Hi.
I just wanted to know, for you as a captain, what's something that you like to see in a first officer, or something that will let you know that this person will have a successful career in aviation?
What I would like to do to a first officer, or say to a first officer.
Something that you like to see in a first officer.
Oh, right, yeah. I like to see a first officer that is sitting in the right seat as a first officer, but is already thinking like a captain. Somebody who's engaged in what the operation is. Somebody who's asking when, at the end of the flight, Captain, you did this and this and this. What if I did this? Would that have worked as well in that situation? How would that be different? So you're constantly inquiring and learning, constantly inquiring and learning, not just sitting there in the right seat as a first officer. So you're a first officer, but you're a captain in training. So think like that, in other words. I used to sit in the right seat, looking at the captains in the left seat, and say, I used to look at them in my mind, I used to say, you're sitting in my seat. That's how I used to do, because I used to work. And I used to look at the captain and say, you're sitting in my seat, in my mind. And I used to work to get there. That's what I used to do. But I used them all the time. I used to say, I wonder why you did that, because if I was in that situation, I'd have done this and this and this. Would that have been wrong? And the captain would say, yeah, that works. But, you know, if you do that, you've got to be mindful of this and this and this. And so, okay, I put that in my little notebook. And I learned a lot just by I used to give the captain scenarios of what I would have done. And then the captains, very experienced, would tell me, no, if you do that, this is what would happen. Then I'd say, oh yeah, but I thought so-and-so. And the captain would tell me. That's how I got normal captains that were not instructors to tell me. Because a lot of the normal captains that were not training captains, actually had a lot of knowledge, more than some of the instructors that we had. They're just not instructors. Maybe they're just not good at passing on the knowledge. But if you ask them, it would come out. So I use that, always use that. Yeah.
Very nice. And your final question is going to come from this man over here. And thank you very much.
I'll stand here by the pulpit. Okay. We're gathered here.
Okay. So good afternoon, Captain. My question to you is, in your years of experience of flying the biggest aircraft, what is that one thing or those few things that you struggled with as a pilot? You know, we all have things that we find difficult when you're flying. For example, for me, planning a flight is one of those things that I don't necessarily enjoy, but I have to do it anyway. What are some of the things that throughout your career that when you felt like, oh, this phase of flight or this type, whether you're speaking to ATC or anything that you throughout your career was like you were reluctant on doing, and you were like, this is not my favorite thing to do, or I'm not really good at this thing? What was some of those things and how did you overcome those things that you were not good at doing?
Yeah, some of the things are necessary and you have to do them. I know that I hated long-haul night flights because you were always on duty and it was 2 a.m. and you're sitting there. Everybody says, that's a passenger, said, oh yeah, but you pilots just sit there drinking coffee, and the autopilot does the flying anyway. But I can assure you that I've been sitting there on many occasions, and all the other previous captains that were here will tell you that you can be sitting there at 2 a.m., the aeroplane gets to a turn point, it's supposed to turn, and it doesn't. Okay, so you're at the back sleeping or watching a movie, and sometimes you've got to take it out, manually turn the aeroplane, re-engage it, and see what's going on. These modern aeroplanes, the 350 or whatever, there are times when things just don't work. And you think, why isn't it doing this? And you must be there. So I hated the long haul night flights. Definitely hated that. And the biggest discussion when you've got a 12-hour flight on the 747, the biggest discussion when you're in the crew bus going to the aeroplane is, Captain, what are you going to do about the rest period? Because you're all going to share times when you're going to go back and rest. So everybody's wondering. And of course, most of the time, if the airplane was taking off at 10 o'clock at night, all the senior captains took first rest, because then they would sleep at the normal time. And they would get all the juniors to sit in the seat at the worst possible time. Yeah. But I never did that. Whether I flew passenger or cargo, I never did that, because the way I worked it is I slept as much as I can. It's very difficult, but I slept as much and rested as much as I could during the day. And if I was taking off at 10 o'clock, I used to fly, this is the passenger days on the 747. I would leave Hong Kong, would take off for Hong Kong at 11 o'clock at night. And most, I would say 99% of the captains, after takeoff, the airplane gets in the cruise, they go to the back and go to sleep, and leave the senior first officer and the relief FO in the seat. I never did that. I always just rested as much as I could during the day. After takeoff, I would sit in the seat for the first 6 hours. The reason I personally did that is because you take off, the aeroplane is at maximum weight, 400 tons nearly. To give you an example, like the 747-8, at maximum takeoff weight, we took off at 447,000 kilograms. 447,000 kilograms. We would fly for 11 hours and land at our destination, maybe LA or Anchorage or somewhere like that. And the landing weight would be almost the maximum takeoff weight of a Boeing 777-300ER. We would be landing at that weight. Sometimes we'd take off and at 4:47, going to New York, JFK, and we'd be coming round to land on the short runway, 13 left, at nearly the maximum all-up weight of a fully laden 777-300ER. That's how heavy the jet is. So you'd be touching down at 347 tons, which is, I think, only 4 or 5 tons of the max all-up weight of a 777-300ER. We would land at that weight. Yeah, so but I just hated the midnight stuff. It's not, there's a lot of theft in South Africa, in homes, burglaries. You know when they happen? Between 2 and 3 a.m. Because that's when the body, if you're in the local time zone, goes into rapid eye movement sleep, and you get into the deep sleep. And the thieves know this. That's why they come then, because you're in a deep sleep. It's nothing to do, or they use juju, they don't do any of that. They just know that at that time, the human body is in deep sleep. It's the best time to take anything. That's what I hated anyway. Yeah, there you go.
I know that Captain Obed has to
Catch a flight.
So,
oh yeah, it's 2 o'clock. Yeah.
This is his time. So I would like everybody to please honor Captain Obed, our...
Thank you. Like I said, thank you for being here. You could be somewhere else, but you're here. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah.
That will take you to the Uber. France. That's France, and he will let you out. Thank you very much. Okay. One more time for Captain Obed, everybody. Dance moves and all. You will notice you can find Captain Obed online on YouTube. He's got a massive following. Obviously, all the socials are he's very well supported on all of those. And we can see why. The man speaks from his heart, and he's absolutely a genuine fellow with all the experience and does it for anyone but himself. As you can see, it's all for you and his audience. So I really love it. And we were honored by him. Thank you. Next up, we have a movement that has been developed in the last It's been in the thought process for a good 18 months, maybe more. And the paperwork of the actual company has been in place for a couple of months already. And they have achieved amazing things for the youth in aviation in South Africa. And the head of this organization is sitting here today. He's actually slap bang in the middle of this hangar today, wearing that big orange hat over here. Right, no, right there. There we go. He's my very good friend, JJ Lechransi. Please come up. And JJ is going to talk to us today about the Youth Aviation Network, what it stands for and what it's all about, and what they do on a weekly, monthly basis. All right. And then following JJ's talk, we are going to have a very quick question and answer session with Captain Bahir and any one of his team as well as JJ. Unfortunately, our other speakers had to also catch flights, so we're going to have an awesome question and answer session with Captain Bahir afterwards. And then please stick around, because Federal Airlines has sponsored today an amazing prize that you have to be here to claim. And I can see there's a good number of you that would very much benefit from that Federal Airlines prize. What it is an orientation flight and a whole day spent as an airline pilot. So if you are an aspiring pilot, either a commercial student or a commercial pilot, put up your hands. I want to see who those are. You cannot be an ATP. Not you, Ethan. No, I'm joking. Please, I joke. Everyone who's an aspiring commercial pilot or a commercial pilot now looking to break into the industry, I need your hands up, because this prize is going to be for you. All right. And the only way to win it is we're going to do a fight to the death on the stage over here amongst all of you. No, I'm only kidding. We're going to ask a couple of questions, and obviously we're going to award that prize. Sorry for my bad humor. Terrible sense of humor. But we're going to award that awesome Federal Airlines prize to one of you lucky, aspiring, ambitious aviators here today. All right. JJ Lechransi for the Youth Aviation Network. Take it away.
Thank you very much. So you guys that are in the aviation industry at the moment, or that's busy climbing the ladder, just by yourself, just think about how difficult has it been for you to get to where you are right now. How easy was it for you to find information? How easy was it to engage with pilots, engage with aircraft? Can you approach an airfield wherever and just go and speak to someone to get some information? And that's a challenge that I identified a little while ago when I started thinking about the process that we have in the times that we live in at the moment. So Lanseria, for instance, fantastic place, but if you want to get close to an aircraft, you can't. Security will block you. So unless you know someone in the industry, there's no way for you to get to there. I interviewed a whole lot of flying schools when I put my own son through aviation training at a flying school. And the flying schools have certain amount of information, but they don't know of the fun flying things that are taking place. So if you would say to them, there's a flying happening this weekend at Middelburg, they'd look at you and say, what do you mean there's a fun flying thing? We don't fly for fun, we only focus on commercial. So they've got a lot that there's lacking. And those are the gaps that David, myself, and Aldi, and like-minded pilots started thinking of and seeing what we can do to solve that. And that's how Youth Aviation Network has been born. Thank you. So what are we about? We're really there to try and help youngsters, school-going kids, that have this idea that every time an aircraft goes up, that they look up and say, yes, I really, really want to be there, but they don't know where to go. Their parents don't know where to go. In my own situation, my parents just said, look, we don't even ask how much it's going to cost to put you through aviation school. We just can't afford it. So we made a decision that I'm not going to go the aviation route because of information that we could not obtain or did not know where to obtain. So those are the type of barriers that we try and break. And we call it the Aviation Network, Youth Aviation Network. And the emphasis on network is that we need people in the industry to network with us.
If you're an aviation school, if you're a charter company, fuel, anything, AMO, anything that's aviation related, we need those people to come and network with us. And together we'll be able to then build this network to be able to hook up anyone that wants to get involved in aviation. Because let's be honest, if someone says to you, yeah, I want to get involved in aviation, what's the first thing that they think of? Oh, you want to become a pilot. But what about the guy that has to change a tire? What about the guy who has to put on the next prop? What about the guy who services the engine? What about the whole team that monitors the flight to get the flight safely from here to Cape Town? What about the baggage guys? So there's so much involved in aviation that people just take for granted and have absolutely no idea about. So we network these guys together. We put events together where we can then expose this to not just the youngsters, but to their parents as well. Because if we can inform them with these type of things, then they can make an informed decision. I had a school phone me up the other day and said, I've got a couple of girls that have now changed their subject options in, grade 10, because they want to become air hostesses. But they don't know where to go to become air hostesses. So I'm saying, Youth Aviation Network, come to us, we'll put you in touch with the right people. We can host a day, we organize it properly, we can have all the correct questions and answers and those type of things at that level already done, so that when they do make their decision as to where they want to go, they've got the right information. And think about it this way. At the end of the day, this is an economic wheel. Aviation is an economic wheel that has to keep turning. So if there's no new people coming in, youngsters coming into the industry, how is that going to go forward? If there's no air hostesses that's being trained, we can't keep on offering that service on an airline. So it's in the interest of the people that network with us to actually come on board, and that way, when this kid finishes matric, they already know where to go, because you have made your time available for us to be able to inform these people. So like I say, so the type of things that we do is we do aviation talks. We get Uncle Cole Jensen, for instance, to come and give us a talk. The captain that spoke to us now. These are the type of people that we connect into our network, that we make available to the public to come and talk to come take their knowledge, and they come and give their time for free. All that they want to do is they want to inspire people to feel about aviation the way that they do, and also to take away the hurdles that they've had to deal with during their career. So we do workshops, like I say, so it's not just all about flying the aircraft, but what about maintaining the aircraft? How does this work? How does that work? Oh, hang on a second, the propeller is quite important as well. Why, for instance, a common question, I'm sure you guys ask that as well. If you get into an airliner, the first thing that they tell you before takeoff is, please switch off all electronic devices. Why? And we think, but we can't be disconnected from the internet. We're going to miss a chat. Why is that important? And the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, maybe the cell phone signal is all, converged with these 100, 200 people on the same aircraft. And you would think that it would interfere with the instruments. That's not the case. The real reason for that is that if there's an emergency and you're sitting on your phone, how would you know where to go and what to do? Because your attention wasn't at where it needed to be. You are focused elsewhere. That's the reason why these things need to be turned off. That's the reason why we need the people to listen to the air hostess and read the little booklet to know where's the exits, how to engage the seat belt, how to get out of the seat, where's the doors, all those type of things. So these are the type of things that come out in the woodworks with questions and answers and speaking with these knowledgeable people. So I mentioned a flyaway. So if you don't know what a flyaway is, it's the most fun that you can have. So we, a couple of times a year, there's a very big air event that takes place in Middelburg. In September, we've got another one taking place in Krugersdorp. It's called Sun and Fun. The one in Middelburg is probably the biggest air event that we've got in South Africa. We call it like a mini Oshkosh. And if you don't know what Oshkosh is, Google it. You need to get there if you're very involved with aviation or would like to be. find out what that is. So a flyaway is where we, as a lot of pilots, get together. We get a lot of people to come and showcase their products. And we spend 2 or 3 days at an event. You fly in, you sleep in a tent next to your aircraft, and you get in as much flying as possible. Some of the type of things that we would do is we would then host a fun rally. If you don't know what a fun rally is, come and chat to us. Let's introduce you to these things. This is all lacquer stuff that we do. So how can you get involved? So as a youngster, just go to our website, give us your details, keep in touch, we'll send you emails, we'll let you know when these events are taking place. But ultimately why I'm here today, because this is a business-to-business event, the idea is that we need other businesses to get involved. We need other people that have climbed this ladder in the aviation industry to get involved. And we need your time. Come and talk to the youngsters. Come and inspire them. Come and ignite that fire with your experience. Tell them about what's happened in your career, how you got to where you got to. So come and give us your time. If you've got facilities, so we were very fortunate a couple of months ago, we hosted an event with ExecuJet here at Lanseria. ExecuJet opened up their facilities, and we, as Youth Aviation Network and the kids that joined us, I don't know if any one of you have ever, first time at 50 years old, I've managed to sit in a $45 million jet. I've never seen how it looks inside other than from pictures. So we've managed to get ExecuJet to open up their facilities. They spoke to the owners and they allowed us to experience what they do in a charter company and how they work. And we had these youngsters and their parents ask us questions and give them the information that they need to make a judgment call as to where they want to go. And then lastly, give us a financial donation. Because obviously these type of events, we might have it for free here today, but somewhere along the line it costs money. So we're working towards getting our Section 18A certificate, which means that if you donate money to us, we'll be able to give you that certificate and you can claim that back from VAT. So, sorry, not from VAT, from your taxes. So you'll be able to donate money without it costing you money. And that's the type of things that we try and do to help our network partners and the people that join us. So lastly, there's our contact information. Scan the QR code, get in touch with us, and remember, it's a network. So if you've got anything to offer, bring it to our attention, and let's make this great. Thank you very much.
JJ. Another one for JJ, everybody. Big round of applause. Absolute champion. The most reliable person I know. Just so you know. You get those guys. That's him. Thank you, JJ. Yeah, and any way that you'd like to get involved with the Youth Aviation Network, I think we can all agree it's an amazing initiative. And yeah, it's something that's required. Everywhere we go, we need to be inspiring the new generation, because that's who takes over from us old fogies. Right? Right. Okay. All right. I'd like all those people I was speaking to earlier, aspiring commercial pilots and commercial pilot students. So you need to have achieved your PPL and you need to be close to getting your CPL or just achieved your CPL and don't have a job yet. Please put up your hands, those people, and please come to the front over here for the fight to the death. No, I'm kidding. It's just going to be a little question and answer session, please. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our event, our part of the day that we honor our supporting partners. And one of those, like I said, is Federal Airlines. Audrey Kritzinger and her team, Rashika Singh, and all the right people there. I must just thank you guys personally for setting this up and putting this great prize out there. And I really look forward to an awesome relationship going forward. Okay, so we're going to do a question and answer session, and the way I think we should do it, I've got some questions written down here, is, all right, so Well, the first one. You're in this, right? Yeah. Are you wanting to participate? Anyone else? Who else is participating? I just want to be sure. So it's these guys over here. Anyone else? No one else in aspiring aviators. You are looking for a commercial flying job. Lovely. Okay, so you're in this as well. Okay, so we've got 2 prizes to give. So not just one, but 2 people are going to be able to do this. And I think what we will do, just trying to think of a way to work out an elimination. First question, and everybody should be able to answer this one. Name 3 of our sponsors. Who can first name 3 of our sponsors? Please put up your hand. You were first. Just name any 3. Flying Socks is one, definitely. Okay, eliminated from this round. Next up, you. Garmin. So Garmin, unfortunately, was not a sponsor of the Safety Symposium. I did want to say just of the Safety Symposium. I should have clarified that, but thank you very much. Next one. Okay, not Meze Frankfurt. Let's Meze Frankfurt being the host of the show, absolutely, and we thank all of those sponsors. Okay, let me clarify the question. Sponsors of this Safety Symposium today, please list at least 3. List at least 3 of the sponsors. Can I have my main presentation or the whole video? Name 3 sponsors of this Safety Symposium. If you look around, the answers are quite clear. Negative. This is not one. Link Avia is 1. I need 2 more from you to qualify. Negative. Okay, you, sir. Pilot Insure is 1. San Giovanni, not necessarily a sponsor, no. Okay, I thought this one would be an easy one. Charles, you can't go for a flying job. All right. So I know Villa San Giovanni was on there. I'm just going to run through our presentation, and maybe we could give you guys a clue. Okay, so I need someone to give me 3 sponsors for the Safety Symposium. Link Avia, Leonardo, Flying Socks qualifies. Hand it to the man. Come up here, and very quickly introduce yourself and tell us what you plan to do with the day and the experience that you're going to gain from the Federal Airlines prize.
From their prize, do I know what their prize is?
Federal Airlines is going to give this man, because he's an aspiring commercial aviator, a day at the airfield and an orientation flight and a personal facilities tour of the whole thing. You're going to sign on as a pilot, or as the pilots do, go through the flight planning process, do a flight, come home, see what the whole thing looks like, and experience that as a day. How does that sound to you?
Sounds amazing.
Hey? Okay, so what are you going to do with that experience on that day and after that? And tell us who you are.
Okay, my name is Sivenati. I am a pilot here at Lanseria at Aeronav. What I will be doing with that experience is taking a lot of pictures, networking, but most importantly, just being present and appreciating being there and anything that they're willing to give me. I'm more than happy and make my dad proud and my parents. And yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much.
I love it.
All right.
Sivenati, congratulations. We will be in touch with your prize. And everybody, thank you to Federal Airlines and well done to Sivenati.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you as well. Yeah. And thank you for the gentleman. I recorded your conversation, so I will be listening to that presentation later. But thank you, everyone, for coming and for the wonderful food as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Sivenati. Everybody, well, big round of applause. Good man, good man. All right, so following up this amazing prize that we're going to get, just so you know, Federal Airlines could have been one of your sponsored answers for a sponsor. Yeah? Okay. Next question. Name the first airliner. This is also to the commercial aspiring pilots, okay? There will be some more prizes for everyone else. So this is the second prize that we're going to be giving away on behalf of Federal Airlines. Thank you again to an aspiring commercial pilot. Name the aircraft that Captain Obet Mazini started flying on, and for which airline? Kyle had his hand up first. It was, in fact, the DC-3 for Ethiopian Airlines. Kyle, come on up. Kyle, to put you on the spot, my friend, because you have to, as a future captain, you're going to have to speak to people. So this is what we're preparing you for over here. So Sivanati, you got it. So Kyle is our second winner of the Federal Airlines prize of the orientation day and flight. Congratulations. Tell us who you are, where you fly, and what you're going to do with the experience that you gain from Federal Airlines.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Carl, and I actually recently just finished my commercial license with Aeronav, just down the taxiway here. And I'm hoping to get a little bit of an insight to the operational experience that goes on into a company like Federal Airlines, and just the experience the pilots have and what they do on a day-to-day basis. And, you know, hopefully I can incorporate that into my own knowledge going forward. So, yeah.
Lovely. Well done, Kyle. We'll be in touch with your prize. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Kyle, everybody. And our sponsor, Federal Airlines. Thank you. All right. The next couple of minutes, I would like to invite back up to the stage Link Avia's Captain Baher El Damasi, and we're going to be offering him a few rapid-fire questions. So I want everybody in the room to think of a question that you didn't already hear and that you would like Captain Baher to answer. All right, and I'll start us off with this. Don't worry. I want to give this. We'll use this mic. Kyle, you're employed. Come up here, please. And anyone who has a question, please will you deliver that mic to them. All right. See, I make the people work, you know? It's important. All right. Captain, I just wanted to say thank you again for your time here today. Like Captain Obet said, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here today to address the future of aviation in South Africa, and we really appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, David, and thanks a lot all the comers for to make our event great. I wish we could help with sharing our insights today. It makes us feel very happy. It makes us feel valuable, actually. So I wish you guys all the best. And please, David, allow me to thank my South African team that they came also all the way today from Vereeniging to join us. I really appreciate your guys' attendance. This is where I started, so I'm always proud to have such a lovely team as well. So thanks a lot, guys. If we can clap hands for them, please. Thanks.
Woo! Very nice. And I wanted to just say thank you to everyone that participated in the amazing Link Avia activation over there, where you discovered the safe key to safety. And I hope you all decided or figured out that it is you, in fact. Safety starts with you. All right. So we'll be giving away a couple of Link Avia's amazing gift bags. They've got some really cool bits of swag inside them. He gave me one the other day, and I was well impressed with the thermos and all the good things that are in there. So thank you very much for that. But let me start with this question. We've heard a lot about the commercial aspect of the operations that we've heard about. Captain Obet being from Cathay and all the airlines that he was with, and Rian with his experience. But your experience is very different. Your experience is on the corporate jet aviation market. And while there are some parallels, maybe you'd like to highlight a lot of the differences between corporate aviation and commercial, as we know, commercial scheduled aviation. Please tell me.
Okay, so when it comes to private jets and business aviation, I think the biggest differences is how to manage your times and how to mitigate the pressure, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with high net worth individuals. And the biggest challenge that when someone owns an aircraft or they need a specific flight to take place and they need it to happen now, immediately. So they are not willing actually to negotiate what they need to achieve. And by having of course, the right team first of all, and also by being able to manage these requests and how you can open or have a trust basically with your principals or your clients that owns the aircraft as an example or whatever, how you have this relationship with them, because for them they don't see the full picture, as I said. So it's little bit challenging for us to try to explain the whole picture for them. For them, I need the aircraft to fly, so I'm expecting the aircraft to be ready in 30 minutes, you know. And then there is lots of logistics and lots of operations behind it. And in many occasions, we decide to try to educate, as an example, the executive assistants or the people that running the schedules for those VIPs, to explain to them, you know, and tell them, please come join us. Let's explain to you how things happens, because it's not a matter of requesting a flight. There's so many things that needs to fall into a place. And for them, each flight, it has a specific experience and specific needs and specific requirements. And that's all leads us to the importance of having the right team that can action things and make things happen, and having the flexibility as well. You know, the flexibility of having an alternatives, because sometimes it's a last minute flight, and then this gentleman needs to fly immediately. His aircraft is AOG, as an example, aircraft on ground. And then you need to always have the backup plans, you know. So it's all about planning. It's all about mitigating the risks. As I said, you never get it 100% right, but you do your best. You know, you have to try and mitigate all those sorts of challenges that you face during the operations.
And I think if we look at it in terms of a commercial operation, they've got a whole flight planning department. They've got a whole maintenance planning department with hundreds of employees, all managing all of those risks and mitigating those operational features of those aircraft. How is that different in a corporate environment where, you know, you're taking care of the camo, you're taking care of, well, maybe tell us what camo is and how you do that specifically, and then how the OCC differs between what your operation does and the corporate and then the commercial operation.
Okay, so from a management point of view, when it comes to being a private jet operator, the biggest challenge is having the coordination amongst all the teams, including another party involved, which is the aircraft that you're managing for them. So to have this link for each and every mission that needs to take place, whether it's a maintenance event or it's an operational event or whatever it is. That's why when in aviation, when it comes to operations, you need people that can work with that can be really flexible. You need people that can make things happen. You need people that they should be always available. Remember, we do it all. We get the overflight permits, the landing permits. We get all the approvals. We talk to the CEAs, and all that we do on behalf of the owners. And then when it comes to maintenance or the continuous airworthiness maintenance organization, that's now another challenge, because you need to have the solid people and the strict people, because when it comes to maintenance, David, you cannot really afford it to have someone just to listen to you and just tell you, okay, no problem. You need to have the right solid people that they can also help you have a safe operations. It's like the relationship between sales and finance. Sales, they need the sale to happen, and finance, they always need to make sure that they are safe and they are secured. So the very same thing, operations, they always need the aircraft to fly, So to mitigate this risk by having someone well educated when it comes to running the maintenance department, it's one of the biggest challenges, because it's not only a CV. At the end of the day, you need to have as we mentioned, David, previously, you need to have the right people that can make things happen and help you take things to the next level. And without having those people, you cannot you cannot succeed. So it was important for me. Like I have my camo manager. He's very strict. He used to be an auditor in San Marino, an auditor in Aruba, and that's an aircraft registers. And you know, for me, if I need someone just to shake his head and say yes, 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 it wouldn't have been this man. But for me, because I understand the importance of having the right people at the right place, you know, it was so important to choose with care who's going to manage and run such a sensitive organization when it comes to maintenance, because that's, I think, the heart of flying. To make things happen and fly, I understand we can always find a plan, we can always find a way forward, but to make sure that the aircraft is well maintained and airworthy in the right manner, that's the biggest challenge. And for us as a private, you will see that we are a little bit more specialized when it comes to that we need people more specified to specific tail numbers and specific organizations, specific backgrounds. And remember, it's a little bit different than the commercial world, because even when it comes to the aircraft registers, we always choose to have something a little bit more lean and more flexible that can always be available around the clock to validate a pilot, validate a license, or validate an engineer or whatever it is, but yet to keep the right standards and right quality. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge, David.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Who's got our first question for Captain Bahir? Take it away, ma'am.
So with regards to all the students complaining about the instructor bullying, etc., how important do you think that the belief student well-being and mentorship are to the future success of aviation training?
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier on, Shakira, you know, in any organization, you will get, as an example, when it comes to flight training academy, you have the customer, which is the student, and you have the management and the company itself, or the flight training academy. And to have the understanding between these two parties, it's always the biggest challenge in every industry. More specific in the aviation training, because as a school, sometimes they get confused. Should I treat him as a client, or should I treat him as a student? And this is where the gap happens. You know, this is where the challenge happens. Because if you treat him as a student, they need to have certain qualities. You need to have certain. They need to have certain responsibilities. They need to have certain discipline. And unfortunately, we're living in a very commercial world-driven way. You have this amount of money, come will help you fly. So there isn't a real selection in the whole process. And from the other side, when it comes to the students, sometimes because they are not aware, they don't know what's going on or what's happening in this specific. It's something new for them, you know. So they don't have the vision, or they don't have the guidance. And as I said, it's unfortunately this is how it is. And I'm not saying that the whole world this is how it's running, but it became very common that everything it's about commercial. So the moment you register, the moment you have you commit to something, this is where you start seeing things that you didn't see. You have a problem with English, you have a problem with flying, but you don't have the medical, but you don't have this. But if we choose I call it, if you choose to have the shorter way, you know, by being honest and explaining, you know, you need, sometimes I get people from overseas as an example, and then they say, we need to come to South Africa to study, to become pilots or whatever. Then you need to give them the guidance. You need to tell them the truth. The moment they feel this, and then this is how you will build your name up, actually, by having the right reputation. So if you think that this person will have challenge, you need to tell, you need to be honest, you need to be straightforward with the parents as an example, where you say, you know what, I don't think your son has the right material to come to a foreign country. Everything is possible, everything is doable, everything is available. Maybe he comes here, he get lost. So I don't want to say that the whole issue, it's only the school issue or the student issue, but it's a case-by-case thing. I'm just talking in general that this is how you mitigate it. It's a big role that will come into the flight organization. They also need to have the right culture where they allow students to talk, because this is also, unfortunately, it's something we see in a daily basis now. You know, it's so difficult that people having a challenge, they cannot talk to the instructor, they cannot talk to the management. You just need to listen and do this blindly. And this is not how you build a responsible and a successful pilot. You know, you need to give them the space. It's like anything in life, you know, like employees or whatever. You need to have this space for your employees also to talk, to help you grow. Because if you don't listen what's going on in your own organization, how would you grow? You understand? You need to always have a feedback. Feedback is very important. But when you close it to a certain extent where there is no one can even question his instructor or ask him to do something, or can I change? Why are we doing this? And then they look at you like you're not allowed to do this. And then it builds, and that was what I was mentioning earlier on when it comes to building personalities that can manage to say no, you know. And I'm not saying no in a bad way, but you need to find your way. You need to figure it out, you know, what is the way to discuss and have an open conversation with someone to be able to say, you know what, I'm not feeling comfortable doing it this way. Can we do it this way? Approach is very important, of course. Approach can fix lots of problems. Communication can fix lots of problems. But to answer your question, this is, I think, what I have on mind.
Thank you, sir.
I think to summarize, you've operationalized constructive communication. I think everyone just says, communicate freely, communicate openly, communicate constructively, but nobody really knows what that means. And I think the word you used there was create the space for people to be able to express themselves, to be able to have those conversations that lead to the growth and the change that's required in a difficult situation. Excellent. Thank you. Who's got our next question for Captain Bahir? There we go, right at the back, please, Kyle. All right, please just say your name. Tell us what where you fly, and then your question for Captain.
Hi everyone. So my name is Gogejo. So my question for today, for Captain, I think I've heard him a lot today talking about saying no. So I just wanted to find out from you, in your organization, how do you encourage the workers to practice stop work authority? How do you encourage that for your workers?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier on, I think first challenge that lots of businesses cannot implement in their own organizations is having the space. Because in many cultures, or maybe I'm not talking now as a people's cultures, but it's a company and business culture. Business owners, they tend to see it as a risk where you allow people to say what they have on mind. They see it as a risk. But in actual fact, and from my own perspective, what I see, it's actually a big adding value. Because this is how you, if you're really into growth and if you really need to be able to take your business to the next level, the first thing you need to see reality. And unfortunately, lots of people are not willing to do that. You know, they just need to see what they have on their own mind. And this is the biggest challenge, because the moment we have the conversation, I will have to say something. If I give you the space to say something, I will have to tell you something about it. And this is the biggest challenge. Some people are not willing to do this. You know, it's not in their culture. They are not allowing it because they see it as a risk. But in actual fact, if you start exploring and if you start opening your doors and saying, you know what, there is nothing impossible. And one of the important things that you don't give unlimited power to anyone, including yourself. And that's another challenge for all the business owners. You know, you can't tell yourself, if I don't like this person tomorrow, I'm going to ask him to go. It's not, you cannot. But the moment you tell yourself, you know what, everyone will do his own job, it's delegation. Once you start delegating and you're letting everyone does his own job, Again, you must have control, you must oversight, you must make sure things are running in the right direction. But if everyone has this responsibilities and you oversight their own responsibilities to make sure that the system itself will pick up any deviation from the system you have set up. This is the biggest challenge. But I think how you build the culture, it's, remember, if it's my own business and I'm not willing to do it, you're not gonna see it. It's impossible. Even if you are, as a worker, willing to see it or would like to see it, and the management is not cooperating in this, I would say it's a mission impossible. This is how he needs to run his business. But is he running his business in the right way? I don't think so. I don't see him going some way. Remember, your people is your fuel. You know, you need to grow, you need to take business to the next level. You need to convince your team. You need to make them believe of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And they need to see it in their lives. You cannot just keep on saying something and it's not taking place. You understand? In real life. So to answer your question, and I hope that finds your gives you the answer. It's about, it's two parties, like any relationship. You need the employee to be willing to say. Sometimes you will see the company is not, they don't mind. They have the space, they're giving the space, they ask, okay, what do you think, what you have on mind? But everything with limits is very good. Also, to be very honest, you open too much is not good, you close too much is not good. You need to have the limits, you know, you need to have everything. That's why structure and systems is very, very important to implement in the right manner. Thanks a lot.
All right, we have one question over there. Nancy, that's yours. And after Nancy, we've got that individual over there. That'll be great. And then the final one will be your name, Jad. Good to see you. All right. So 1 Nancy, 2 ma'am over there, and Jad will be third. And then we will be giving away a few of Link Avia's gift baskets or gift bags, swag bags to some lucky winners just now. All right. Nancy, take it away.
Hi, David. Hi, Captain Bahir. This is Nancy from Linkavia. This is this is Nancy from Linkavia company. I just want to ask Captain Bahir, what scares you the most as a pilot?
Why are you asking difficult questions?
That's
what scares you. Yeah.
What is the most thing that scares you? What is the most thing that it's like scared you as a pilot?
Okay, so I will have to give...
Despite of altitude, anything else?
No, actually, I'm not scared of altitude. It's a wrong answer. Yeah, altitude is good. As long as I have altitude, I'm happy. Okay, so I think in pilot's life in general, every day is a challenge. You know, you have to take things serious. This is what aviation actually taught us. You know, because the day that you think it's easy, this is the most difficult day. The day you think you planned it well, everything is nice, everything is going to be smooth. I don't have to read, I know this airport very well. You know, I don't have to study this, I don't have to do it every day. This moment is the most difficult moment. So you always need to take each and every flight and each and every trip as a mission. That's why we call it a mission, actually. To tell ourselves, again, it's about telling yourself, what are you doing? You know, when you call it a mission, for travelers, they say, I'm flying tomorrow. For us, we say, I have a mission tomorrow. Why do we say this? Again, it's a self-discipline, to remind yourself, you know, you can't take things easy, because the moment you will take it easy, it's going to be the most difficult moment. And this is what aviation taught us. So to answer your question, Nancy, the difficult moments would be something, or a flight that you didn't prepare well for it, thinking that I have it all, it's all under control. And then something happens or whatever. Again, you need to mitigate at all times. You need to remind yourself at all times, I need to take things serious. I need to take the time. Remember, it becomes more challenging when you do many things, that you need to clear your mind. When it comes to flying, now you remove everything else. You act as you are the pilot now. You need to do all the duties what the pilot would have do. You understand what I'm saying? And that's it. You're not going to think of, like I fly with people that like they're flying for my own company. But then the moment I come into the cockpit, I'm a normal pilot. I don't use my authority inside the cockpit. You understand? You need to be a normal pilot with your crew, with your colleagues. You understand? And this is a big challenge as well. But yeah, thank you for the difficult question, Nancy.
Hi, my name is Mokhatsane and I'm a student pilot at Central Flying Academy. And my question is, what challenges have had the most impact on your career and how did you overcome them?
I think you're a friend of Nancy, or maybe she sent you the question. Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Okay, so sent a WhatsApp. Okay, so you see, as I mentioned, I'm gonna be more particular, but I'm gonna start by being general, and then I will answer your question. But in life, in general, every day is a challenge. You know, you have a challenge every day. Your dream is a challenge, going to work is a challenge, going to study is a challenge, reading the book is a challenge. Everything is a challenge. Each and every step is a challenge. But if you're talking about me personally, if you'd like to hear my own story in this regard, you know, when you come to a country where you, even the language is not your first language. So I came to South Africa. I speak Arabic. I know a little bit of English, you know. I don't have the best English like what you're seeing now. That was not at all the case, you know. So that's a challenge now, communicating, because I know communicating is important, but then I have to communicate via, you know, in order to be able even to fulfill my requests. So that was a huge channel. But how did I mitigate this channel? By believing this challenge, by believing that this is a challenge. That's the first step. You need to say, I'm sick. You know, I have an issue that I need to fix. The moment you carry on saying that, you know what, I don't have problems, everything is fine, I don't have this issue, my English is perfect, how will you develop? So first thing is to be open with yourself, you know, and be clear to yourself and say, I have this challenge, how do I overcome the challenge? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to ask the trustworthy people in order to be able to guide you, because sometimes, especially when you are in a young age, you know, you need to ask, you need guidance. No one in this life doesn't need the guidance. It can be a father, it can be a mother, it can be a friend. But then you must also be careful in this. As I said, are you asking the right person? Because sometimes you'll ask someone that doesn't know about it and then gives you the advice from a mother point of view as an example, and then she's only scared, but she doesn't know, she doesn't have the knowledge. There is a difference between having the knowledge and there's a difference between love. I can be loving someone, but I cannot give him the right answer. So you need to be, and you'll be fortunate actually if you can find that people surrounding you or the right person to ask, you know, to give you the guidance. That's why I always say, look at reputation. Reputation, you cannot buy reputation. If a flight school, if an organization, if a person, if anyone has a reputation, he cannot buy it, you know? You can buy lots of things, but there is certain things you cannot actually buy, you'll have to gain it. So if you have the right organization, the right team, the right reputable organization, that should be the link actually to lead you, because this is how it's supposed to work. They're supposed to listen to you and understand your pain and take you to the next level, because this is their job. Their job is not to put you in the aircraft and make you fly. Their job is to help you achieve your dream. You understand? Because you're going to ask me, you're going to say, but now what if I'm not surrounded by these people? You have the wrong organization. If you have the right organization, and I don't know the organization, I didn't even hear the organization, by the way, so I'm not talking about anything, I'm talking in general, okay? So you just need to have the right guidance. To have the right guidance, this is their job. If you're coming to me to buy something from me, I must be the most expert person in selling this thing. Otherwise, I'm not the right organization that you're buying from. You understand? So challenges, it's relevant. My challenge and your challenge, it would be different. But of course, one of the biggest challenges you will face while studying, is it possible? Sometimes, you think that it's not going to happen. It's so difficult. I've flown today, I feel that I'm a little bit scared, I saw something, there's a situation happened. How will I overcome this? Today it worked, maybe next time it's not going to work. All these questions, but again, self-motivate yourself. If you started something, do not quit. If you started something, remember, if you believe that you have the ability to do this, just trust yourself, because you are the most person that know about your own capabilities. We can always help each other. We can always, but it's a moment that you get in life where you say, now I think I can start my own business. Now I think I can become a pilot. Now I think I'm ready. It's like, I'm sorry, so going into a fight, sometimes you say, no, I'm not less for this. I can't even talk, I have to keep quiet. But sometimes you feel you are into this because achieving your dream, it's a fight. Becoming a pilot, it's a fight. Opening a business, it's a fight. But you need to ask yourself certain questions. Am I patient enough? Will I be able to take the pain? Because you're not going to achieve something good with easy life. Impossible. This is how the whole world created. You need to work hard unless you do something wrong. That's something else. We're not talking about those. I'm talking about someone that he have achieved it because he did something about it. So I need to ask myself, am I willing to work hard? Am I willing to have sleepless nights? Am I willing to take the pain? Am I willing to be patient? You don't think that I'm going to open a business tomorrow, I'm going to make money tomorrow. Don't open a business, because it will never happen like this. But if you're really into this fight, and then you will prove to yourself, no, I can do it, I can do it. And always start. If I have to give an advice for someone that needs maybe to start his own business, always start with something that you know. It will help you a lot. Because if you start with something that you totally don't know anything about, you will have lots of challenges. Lots of challenges. Because there is no business that doesn't have risks and doesn't have up and downs. But if you know something about it, at least you'll be able to mitigate the risks. You'll be able to go with the flow. You'll be able to do something about it. But when you start something that you don't know anything about, you are limited with resources in any case, because it's a startup. I cannot bring an expert now. I'm going to bring an expert. How much will I pay him? How will I pay him? I don't have the resources. I don't have the means. And then you will be led by this person. But if it's something, it's your own, and you understand it, and you have the knowledge about this, it will help you a lot. But I'm sorry that I have deviated a little bit from what you're asking. But all I'm saying is, you need to overcome the challenges by reminding yourself every day, I can do it, I can do it. But challenges is part of your life. Do not let anyone let you down. That's the main thing. No one. Be surrounded with people that always push you to the front, because this is a big factor. People, maybe they don't believe of it, but it's one of the biggest factors, is to surround yourself by the people that is encouraging you. And all the best.
Okay, and our final question by a triple V VIP over here for Captain Baher, because we are wrapping up after this question, is by the young lady over there, Zaina, and she has a question for this captain over here, her dad.
Hi, my name is Zaina. What is the most important rule that pilots need to follow?
Look at this, David. Give the question to someone else, please. There was some. Okay. All right, so I think I answered this question in between what I have mentioned just now, but because it's Zena, so I'll have to give a more detailed answer. So, again, aviation it's an industry that part of our life, So I always like to start from big, going to small. So in life, you need to achieve anything. You need to be a good pilot. You need to be a good businessman. You need to be a good person. You need to be a good whatever you are doing in your life. There is certain things you need to have. You need to have commitment. You need to be committed to what you are doing. You need to have discipline. Discipline, it's very important. Without discipline, you cannot achieve. You need to push yourself to be a self-motivator. I know it's very difficult, but the fuel for you to go every day and do the very same thing, it's that fact itself, it's a challenge. So you need to be self-motivated. You need to motivate yourself enough to tell yourself, you know, what is driving me now to go to work? You need to have a message in life. You need to have a reason. You need to have a goal. You need to remind yourself every day. For pilot, if you break it down, I need to have more experience. I need to have. I need to see myself growing. If I'm a student pilot, I need to have my PPL. If I have PPL, I need to have my CPL. I need to have my career. I need to start my career. One day I need to become a private jet pilot. One day I need to become a captain. One day I need to become a training captain. So this is what drives you to do the best. So what makes a great pilot is believing that the process is much more important than the destination. You know, destination is one thing, but we don't look at the destination. We look at the process. By taking each and every process and each and every step in the process seriously, this is how you become a greater pilot. The moment you say, now it's easy, I know it all, I don't have to learn, you know, and this is the biggest mistake you can do in your life. This is where you start breaking and damaging yourself. So I wish you guys a great afternoon. I think we ended with Zena's question. And thank you very much for all of you guys thanks a lot, David. I really appreciate it.
And we appreciate you, Captain Bahir. This is just a small token of our appreciation for you. Thank you very much for making the time today and talking. Excellent. Stay here. I have one more question. Who is your tailor? Because that suit is amazing.
My tailor.
Am I right? The man looks good.
It's sponsored by Nancy.
Sponsored by Nancy. Fantastic. Very nice. Well, then, in that vein, I would like you to help me give away these two prizes. They're both a tailored pilot shirt for a commercial female pilot and a commercial male pilot. So we're giving away one shirt each. The shirt is given by Sky Candy. They do tailored shirts, and for the females, they've actually got a zip in those shirts. I don't know if you've seen them, so that they don't, you know, open up and all those kinds of things, which I know is a bit of a problem with pilot shirts. And then the male ones obviously just fit really well. I had one tailored for myself, so I had to measure my waist and my bicep, and I got those measurements opposite. You know, I thought my bicep was 80 centimeters and my waist was only 40 centimeters, but obviously I got it wrong. But anyway, it all got worked out in the end. And the owner of Sky Candy is a very good friend and client of mine, Jana Niemoller, and she's actually a commercial pilot herself and aspiring to do great things with her career. So will you help me give away one of these? Absolutely. Should we ask a question? And so lady commercial pilots, please, female commercial pilots, put your hands up, or aspiring commercial pilots, please. People that will need a pilot shirt specifically with the epaulets and all those kinds of things. We're going to ask a question about Captain Bahir's talk, and I think one of the questions is, which is better, Airbus or Boeing? Hands up. Airbus or Boeing? Put your hand up. Answer? Correct. Please come up and collect your prize. Am I right, Captain?
Yeah, you are right. No, that's definitely, guys. I said from the start, BBJ, Boeing Business Jet. So this is the way to go, of course. Yeah.
That's why it was correct. And if it's not Boeing, I'm not going. No offense, Airbus. All right. Please grab your female tailored shirt, tailored pilot shirt. Well done, Shakira. There we go. Very good. Don't run away. Beautiful. All right. And for our male pilot, please put your hands up. Who are you? Commercial male pilot, right down here. Over there as well. Okay. I'm going to be asking one more question. Let's just get my question bank over here. Right. What is Pilot Insure's main product to the main offering to the aviation market? Insurance, specifically what kind of insurance related to your medical? So clearly I've done a very good job of explaining our offering here today. It's on one of the banners. We've got insurance that covers you as a pilot, and if you lose your who said loss of license? Have you got are you a male commercial pilot? Come up and go grab your prize. So close, man. Come up and congratulate him. I just want to say thank you to everyone that is still here. I know we've been doing some serious mental gymnastics today, a lot of hard work, a lot of hard thinking. I think there's been about 1 million calories burnt just in the thinking here today. But I'd like to congratulate. Your name?
Michael.
This is Michael?
Yes, Michael.
Where do you fly, Michael?
Aeronav.
Michael flies for Aeronav, and he will be using his tailored Sky Candy shirt. Please get in touch with them and say thank you to Captain Bahir for... All right. Congrats. Be good. All right. And with that, everybody, I think I have everything done. I would like to thank you very much for your day today, and we will be in touch. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good evening. Good afternoon. Okay. It has been, yes, everyone that asked a question today. If you're still here and you asked a question, please put your hand up. I'd like you all to come to the front and please come. If you've asked a question today, Shakira, you as well. You didn't ask a question. You look very inquisitive though, so I would like everybody, all of you who've asked a question, please come up onto the stage today. We'd like to honor you. Come right on up here. Right on up. Are you still here? You've asked a question. Yes, you did, and you won an amazing prize. Very good. You've asked a question. Yes, you did as well. Please come on up if you've asked it. Nancy, definitely. Asked the best question. No, second best to Zaina. Zaina, you as well. Anyone else? Who else asked one? And so I'd like just to, we honor everybody that comes here and we acknowledge your presence and we really thank you. But if you want to get more from life and get the real learning, it's to participate. And that's just one of the messages that's part of the Safety Symposium ethos, is to get involved, do more, network, and ask questions, have the conversations. And these people did it here today. So big round of applause for them. And may I give to everybody that asked a question, go ahead. Here we go. Please grab that for you. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this with multiple hands. You've already got yours. Can I give them to them? Thank you. There we go. Shakira, you get one? Of course. Stay there. All right, can we get a nice picture of all of our question champions here today? Squish in a bit, come in a bit more. There we go. Thank you very much. All right. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nancy, lovely. All right. You, sir, Jad, I have a prize for you. It is one of these airfield directory books. Please keep that. And I have a prize for you, Kyle, as well. A pair of socks. One pair of socks for you as well. And fastest finger first for a last pair of socks. Here we go. Hey? You've got a pair already, though. Pay it forward. And with that, everybody, I would like to thank everybody's attendance, our sponsors, our speakers, you and me and everybody here today, especially Leonardo, Pilot Insure, Aero. Thank you very much and have an amazing weekend, and let's wrap it up for this year's first Safety Symposium. Congratulations.